Man, maybe
All
once
right. There
we
we
can
go.
get this right.
Yes.
Ready to get into this.
All right. Let's kick it off.
Let's roll. Last week, we were talking about road rage,
Yeah.
and you had brought up about what had led me to partially my opinion on why you should not road rage, and
Right.
about a particular individual that told me
Mhm.
a story.
Share
So
it.
I should probably share that.
It's a great story.
And I don't want to oust anybody here. Hopefully, we can get this person on the podcast.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be
Very
really
interesting.
good for people, yeah, because everybody obviously has a story, and this individual has a really colorful life story that's
Yeah.
obviously still ongoing. So this person, I don't know, should I use their name? I don't think I'll use his first name, Adam. He was telling me one time he lived in a small town and he was traveling to another small town. And what do you think separates those two towns? Because 25
Yeah,
miles,
about
maybe around there.
Yeah.
So he's leaving his small town, and as he's driving through his town, this vehicle runs right up on him, tailgates him. Instantly, he gets agitated by it, and this other vehicle tailgates him all the way through town. They get through town, speed limit goes to 55. The vehicle goes to pass him. Adam floors it, doesn't let him pass him.
Yeah. Blocks him.
Yep. The other vehicle has to get back behind him. Attempts to do it again, same thing. Adam floors it. And then when they're beyond coming traffic, this is a 2-lane road between these two towns. So when they're beyond coming traffic, Adam would slow down below the speed limit.
Yeah. Just punishing him.
Yep. And then as soon as traffic would clear, the person would go to pass, he'd stomp on it, block him. So they did this all the way to the next town. And obviously, this is, he has to tell the whole story.
Right.
It's been a couple years since he had told me this, but you'll get the idea here. So they do this cat and mouse all the way to the next town. Get to the next town. They take a right onto the main street. The vehicle turns left right into the hospital that was behind him.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That
Definitely puts it into perspective, don't it?
Yeah, it definitely changed my perspective on,
Yeah.
assuming that person's running up on you and they're just being a jerk, an asshole, whatever, right?
Right.
We don't know. We plant assumptions in our own mind of what's going on without even knowing what's going on, right?
Right.
Like we just assume all this.
Guy's
This
just a jerk and-
person, they're in that big of a hurry. They should have left 2 minutes earlier, right?
Right.
Well, like you've never left for work late,
Right.
We've
Or
all,
had an emergency.
that's what I was
you're
going to
trying
say.
get
We've all
to.
had relatives that were in the hospital.
Yeah.
We've all had those unfortunate calls. We've,
So you go from, thinking that guy's a jerk to thinking, well, I'm a jerk.
Right.
know,
right,
'cause
instantly.
I blocked this guy from getting to the hospital sooner,
Right, and who knows what those circumstances were, right?
Right.
I mean, man,
I couldn't imagine how that made him feel. Just low.
yeah. What a story to be able
Yeah.
to share, though, right?
Yeah. Definitely a strong lesson in there,
And we all need to be more compassionate, understanding, and respectful and patient with each other.
Agreed.
We all need to just be kinder to each other
Right.
because we don't know. We don't. If you're driving, and I go into work early, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing aggravates me more than bright headlights because of my eye condition.
Right.
Bright lights,
Blind you.
yeah, they blind me. And I used to get really frustrated. People coming at me with their brights on, and, why didn't they shut them off
Right.
half-mile away, you know,
Yep.
when I shut mine off.
Right.
But then I think maybe that person was at work since 3 o'clock yesterday. Maybe they got mandated, whatever,
Yeah.
had to work at 12 till 3 in the morning. They're on their way home dead ass
Right.
tired and just,
Or maybe truthfully they just can't see that well, so they keep the brights
Right.
on as long as they can.
Right.
You know.
right.
Yeah, mine is you know, left lane under the speed limit driving.
Right.
Oh yeah, get out of the fast lane. You know,
Right.
just- that was one that I had to work on and really kind of slow down.
Me too, and the same thing, right? Like, how many times have you rid someone ass in the left lane
Yeah, trying to
and
push
to
them.
realize that they're turning? They were
Yeah.
looking for the next road, or
Right.
you know, they're trying to find someone's house for whatever reason. We've all done it. How many times you bought something on Marketplace
Oh,
or
yeah.
Craigslist using your GPS and which one's
Yeah.
1258, 12,
Right.
you know, and then you got someone on your ass.
You have arrived at your destination, and there's
Right.
3 driveways.
Right,
Yeah.
and you got someone on your ass going, come on, get out of the way,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
we all just need to just, you
Slow
understand,
down.
we've all made the same mistakes or have been in the same situations that someone in front of us is in.
Yeah.
We're not trying to intentionally piss off the person behind us. We're
Right.
trying to find the house. We're trying to find the next road to turn on because we're not from this town.
Yep.
Whatever.
I
I
agree.
think everybody just needs to take a lesson from Adam too, in understanding that,
It's a good lesson.
you know, that person might be on their way to the hospital, you know, and vice versa. If you're riding the left lane, understand that you're not Johnny Law.
Right.
Just because the speed limit says 55 and you think you're going 58, then nobody else should be able to drive 60.
Yeah.
You don't know where someone, just because they don't have flashing lights doesn't mean they're not on the way to the hospital,
Right.
or they're not on the way to the
But
police
it's not a
department.
legitimate reason why someone
Right.
would feel rushed, and yeah.
Right.
You know, and I mean, get out of the
Yeah,
way.
you need
And
to
you
be
know, how many
courteous, too.
times have I had that car in front of me and the right lane's empty?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
instead of just merging over in the right lane and passing them, I would ride them, push them over, you
Right.
know? And I don't do that anymore.
Right, and I don't either, but at the same time, those people have to be respectful too
Sure.
of the road too, and understand sometimes
Right.
people need, and it's safer if the left lane is
Yeah.
clear, you know.
Right.
And I
It
was
keeps
coming,
traffic flowing better.
I was coming home the other day, and I was passing 2 cars that were in the right lane, and there was a truck in the left lane,
Yeah.
and it was going faster than 2 cars on the
Right.
right lane. So I passed. I'm just getting up to the truck, and it's gonna turn left, which is
Yeah.
fine. There's a center turning lane.
Right.
They decided to turn from my lane, come to almost a complete stop in the
Wow.
left lane,
That's dangerous.
and turn onto the. And I didn't have an escape route because the 2
Right.
cars I was passing were still there.
Right.
So I had to get right on the
Yeah.
binders. So again, you know, people need to be,
Yeah.
you know, cognitive
no,
of what's going on too, and pay attention and go, oh, there's a left turn lane. I need to make sure I'm fully in that lane because traffic's still
I
flowing.
think
at a
people's always
certain
been
rate.
this way, or it's worse now. You know, as far as like the
I
go,
don't
go,
know.
go, 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 in a hurry, in a hurry, in a hurry.
I don't know.
You know, I think it's hard to say, to really judge it, because, you know, 20 years ago we were young, so
Yeah.
we viewed life through a different prism. But to me, it seems worse. Everyone seems more rushed, less patient.
Maybe.
You know,
Yeah, we'd have to ask someone
Just-
older than us too,
yeah.
you know. And
It's like
go
maybe
from there.
just everyone's got a lot going on, too much going on at once, huh?
yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Definitely seems like it's a
Wh-
ruder society
wh-
now than it used to be.
Which leads me into another thought too. I heard a podcast I was listening to the other day, and they were talking about how they felt sorry for kids of this generation because
Right.
of how their generation was, you know, and
Yeah.
with social media and this and that. And I started thinking, maybe, but
Then again,
this is all these kids know. Just
Right.
because we don't know,
we
we're-
see the loss or the change. they
Right.
don't.
right? That's just normal to them. No different than our parents would say
Right.
in my day, you know. And,
Yeah.
you know, you kids these days, right? Just
And we were
like in
very-
our generation,
yeah.
as you kids, all you do is sit around and watch TV,
Yeah.
right? Even though we didn't have internet or
Cut your
social
hair.
media. Yeah,
Yeah.
cut your.
Yeah.
But for us, our childhood
all
was
we
good,
did,
and
yeah.
to our parents, their childhood was good, and to their parents.
It's a good point.
So, I don't know that we should look at it like, oh, these kids these days, because that's all they know,
Yeah.
and that's how they're gonna grow up. And I know, people talk about, depression and this and that with the youth. And yeah, I get it. It's a lot easier for kids to be bullied in some ways, maybe because of social media, because
Yeah.
it can't just be left at school, or it just can't be left at,
Oh, people have more courage to, type it
yeah,
than they do
right.
to say
So,
it to your face too. So it probably
so
does lead to more.
yeah, I mean, that's never okay, and I get it. I do feel bad for,
Yeah.
in that aspect, if a kid is being bullied and they just can't escape it at school and it follows them home because of social media. That is tough to
Yeah.
deal with. But as a whole, I'm saying though, like, for people to say, "Oh, this generation, is so much worse off because of this," it's like, maybe, but I think,
No, they got a lot of comforts we didn't have
yeah,
too.
yeah,
There's definitely
yeah,
some advantages.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Uh,
So what else been on your mind?
uh, I've been thinking about, the magnification put on different situations that still pop up in the media, like
Yeah.
the Trump raid with the FBI,
Right.
and how they're spinning it up. And I heard a podcaster, well, it's a podcast, more political
Yeah.
based podcast we both listened to
Okay.
the other day, talking about how the media had come out and was reporting how Trump fast tracked the,
Yeah.
the 2+1 there, and how the Democrats were trying to hold it off till after the election. And, this proves that there might be lawsuits coming. I'm like, I don't, I don't, I don't see it that way. I see it, the media saying those things is to remind a certain base that, hey, your guy
Right.
pushed this out.
Right.
I think they're trying to put a negativity
Right.
on certain people and make other people look like, hey, we held off,
Right.
but your guy pushed it through.
Hard to take that. Yeah, I think political football, it's going to get kicked back and forth. I
Right.
think there's the argument's bogus. I mean, even if they said, "Look, we tried to hold it back," well, they were the ones that mandated almost every human on earth to get it. So, I mean,
But that other guy
back
came
and
out and
forth.
said everybody should get it too.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So-
and he fast tracked it, right? Which I thought
But
I could understand it
I think he
at that moment. I could
You're right.
understand it,
right. I think,
but it was still scary. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think he was more doing it for his ego too, right?
Oh, sure.
Like look what I did,
Come on,
right?
you can see his ego from space,
Right.
right?
Right. But I was kind of disappointed that particular podcaster was trying to spin it
Mhm.
like, oh, I think there's lawsuits going to be coming down, and they're trying to
Right.
divert attention from their party. I'm like, man, don't do that. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I just saw it. I don't know. I just didn't like. I didn't like the rhetoric.
It got really politicized for sure.
Because I like listening to
Right.
individual, even though I don't agree with everything. I overall, I think the message is good. I was just kind of disappointed when I
Yeah.
heard that angle. And like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion,
Sure.
just like we're sharing
Just
our
like
own
we are,
opinion here,
you know?
right? But
Again, opinions,
yeah,
not political analyst
No.
by any means.
no,
I'm not an expert in anything.
no, just a random guy. Just
Yeah.
listen to a lot of podcasts all day and just try to have our own bounce our own
Yeah.
opinions back and
Right.
forth here. By the way, if you do find any value here, like, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a rating on one of the podcast apps that you
Yeah.
find this on. That'd
Please.
be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. I think mine this week was probably similar to what you just went through. The hill that everyone's deciding to die on now with the student loan bailout.
Mm-hmm.
I was really let down and upset by this whole debate. Um, for conservatives that want to die on this hill, I don't understand. To me, I heard, and again, out of some people that I respect and I watch all the time, some different podcasts and YouTube channels, the most terrible arguments against this that I've ever heard. It was offensive to even listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta admit. One of them being, now everyone's got to pay for, these college kids that want to go to school and get a degree in liberal arts and can't get a job. Or, these conservatives got to pay for these kids to go to school and learn about gender studies. I even heard one of the people that I actually respect quite a bit make the argument that it was racist because inner city blacks are going to have to pay higher tax rate. They're estimating around $2,000 per person that our taxes are going to go up each year to pay for white kids' college. And I thought, wow, because, none of them went to college.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, ain't that kind of racist
Right.
thought, And
Yeah,
I thought, look, and the other last argument was, well, what about the people who didn't go to college that were smart, got into skill trades or whatever, they're making a fair living, and now they got to pay for people who did go to college, and our taxes are going to go up. And my argument for this whole debate was, your taxes are going to go up anyways. Throughout my entire life, my taxes have went up and up and up. They creep up. They just do every year. We pay higher taxes for roads that never get fixed. We pay higher taxes because a hurricane hit Florida. I've never been to Florida. I've never gotten to swim in the ocean. But yet, tax money, when they take federal aid to help rebuild some beach that got eroded, everybody pays for that. I've never been to the Ukraine. But yet, how many billions? 60 billion now, I think, has been sent over there. Like, there's just better arguments, I think, about wasteful spending. And not that I agreed with the bailout, but at least it was kind of fair across the board. It didn't matter whether you were trans, whether you were straight, whether you were black or white or Asian. Everyone was going to get the chance to take a piece of that.
Yeah.
I think that the cap is a little high. Obviously, a married couple making $250,000 a year probably don't need help paying their college. And if they do, they're probably irresponsible with their money. They should have brought that down. But beyond that, I thought, well, man, these are the dumbest arguments I've ever heard. Like, terrible.
I think we spent money on a lot worse things than forgiving some college debt for sure. And I do think they're kind of starting in the middle here. I think that they need to get rid of this interest on these debts. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous in itself.
Yeah,
that
predatory lending. Mm-hmm.
But who gives these loans out?
Right.
Isn't it the federal government?
Some of them, yeah.
Right. And if they're charging interest, but then they say we're gonna forgive $10,000, like,
right.
Like, are you really doing a favor?
Right.
Like, how about you stop interest on college loans?
It just really, was upsetting because, lots of people have student loan debt. Yeah. Like, it's not just people that liberals. Right. And there's conservatives that have it too. Right. It was an argument that made no sense.
All people go. Variety of people go
in our generation. Like, as we were coming into adulthood, we were led to believe you had to have college to get a job and make any sort of reasonable living. Right? We were kind of brainwashed into that.
And I still believe that college, the majority of college graduates are still higher earners. I don't
know. I think.
Well, isn't the largest swath of millionaires in the U.S. engineers?
True. I mean, there are some.
I'm saying, like, they didn't
areas of expertise. Obviously, you're not going to get on-the-job training to be a heart surgeon, right? A cardiologist.
Well, I'm even saying in tech, right? Like, even all these people in tech, right?
But I see a lot of.
Even if they didn't, I know not all the people in tech. Obviously, a lot of the tech leaders never graduate college, but they still attended, right? To some degree.
I think
I'm not saying that
I've
you
seen a
have to
lot
go
of
to
them.
college, but I still
No, I
believe
think,
that.
there's all kinds of skilled
Uh,
trades jobs, and
yeah,
I had that debate with my one of my sons about that because there comes a point where you're racking enough debt, like it's going to take a long time
I get
to
it.
pay that off. And no, granted, he paid his off,
Yeah,
and I'm proud of him. He did good.
yeah.
But he's not working in the field that he went to school for, not even close. You
Right,
know?
right.
There, I don't think you have to have it.
No, I'm not
You
saying.
know, is there a benefit to higher education? Sure,
Yeah,
I agree with that. But the way we were, the way it was sold to us is, you had to, and everybody started to look at college because otherwise you're gonna work a minimum wage job or you go to college, and I think it does a disservice to people with experience because there's an argument to be made about college education when you come out of school where you're at ready for your job versus someone that's had 5 years experience that's worked their way up through the company.
where I see the benefit though, and this is what I've tried to explain to my own kids is, if you're in a shop and a management position comes open,
Mm-hmm.
and you and another candidate are close to the same amount of time in the shop, right? But one of you has just an associate's 2-year degree in business management.
Right.
Who has the better option?
Oh,
If you were a business manager, if you had to decide between these two guys, all things being equal, they both have
Right.
good attendance, positive attitudes, all these things,
Yeah.
right? They're both satisfactory in their job requirements, but that one has associates in business management, and you're hiring for a management position. I'm not saying everybody has to go to college for
Right.
8 years. I'm just saying something as simple as that.
Sure.
I think can help you,
But what
and you can get that at
what would
a
you do
local
if,
college,
if
right?
you were yeah,
I'm not
community
saying
college,
you have to go to an
it's a
Ivy
little
League
cheaper,
school, right?
but now let's change that argument to he's been in the shop for 4 years, good attendance, whatever. A position opens up and someone outside the company applies for it that hasn't had shop experience, that has that
That's a
degree.
different thing. I'm talking
Right.
about all things being equal, though.
Right.
Now, I get what you're saying, because you
Yeah.
still need people that understand the job, because
Right.
they're going to be managing
Sure.
this group
And I'm
that
not
they
saying you
worked
can't
up
come
through.
from the outside because
Right.
I've had managers in
yeah.
manufacturing that came
Yeah.
from the outside with very little manufacturing experience, but a lot of management experience,
Yeah.
right? And management, in a lot of ways, is kind of the same, no matter where you're
Yeah.
at, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same skill set. And they can learn the stuff
They can.
about the job specifics, right?
It definitely helps the transition, though, if they have experience
Yes.
either in that specific industry or they worked at that company
Right.
for some amount of time
And I think that
to make that step into
people were
management.
coming out of college with this entitlement thought of, I paid my dues, I deserve this. And it's almost, there's a lot of things in college you learn that's not even pertinent to that
Yeah.
field.
And I guess
know?
it depends on, what you're trying to go into.
All
and
the
what you
elective
got
classes
degree.
that you got to take, and like there's just a lot of, you're going really far in debt, and a lot of classes that you don't even need
Yeah.
for that position. That's why I like technical degrees, certificates, like the one that I received in emergency medical science.
Yeah.
It was very specific. It was shorter because I didn't have to take a bunch of extra classes that didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to go and take a music class and learn to play guitar for a semester so that I could, save lives.
Right.
It was very pinpointed,
Right.
job specific.
Right. I get that. I just, like I said, I think we spent money on worse things in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And
Agreed. It really kind of, it had me cranked up a little bit. I
Yeah.
thought, man, these are terrible arguments. And,
yeah,
does
with all the other things going on.
Biden have the right to do it or not? Probably not. Has it stopped him? No. You know what? Every one of these presidents
Yeah.
have been signing executive order after executive order after executive order that they
Yeah.
probably didn't have the right to do, but they did it anyway. So
Yeah. That is true. That is true. Yeah. I mean,
I'm a lot more worried
Uh,
about the administration using the FBI as, you know, their personal political payback group. Like,
even that, how much of that is true?
oh, I'm sure it's exaggerated in some aspects.
Because I
But
just
they
don't.
raided
I
the
just don't.
house, right?
I. They raid houses all the time, though, right?
Of ex-presidents.
Well,
Hey, I'm not
but
so
we can't say, well, he's above the law
right,
because he's an ex-president, so
right,
we shouldn't investigate him, and we should never any ex-president. Because
They-
what if it's an ex-president that you don't agree with? So now the
right.
FBI raid's okay because
My exactly my thought process
Yep.
is it's not that they raided the house. It's that they haven't applied that same vigorism equally to the other group.
But do we know
Right.
what did the other group do the same thing though? That's what we don't know.
Yeah.
Until it comes out.
I mean, it
I
seemed
think
like
it's
they
just-
suppressed the laptop controversy for Hunter Biden, and they said the polls I seen said that that probably would have swayed some votes had that
Okay.
been released to the public and not crushed by the FBI and Zuckerberg and
Well, did you listen to Zuckerberg's interview on Rogan?
yeah,
Did you listen to
I
the
did.
whole thing?
Yeah. It was pretty good.
Changed my mind.
Yeah,
About
it
the
gave
guy.
me-
And again,
gave
being
me some
humbled, like
perspective, right.
I'd never even heard him talk before, never just from what people said, so I
Right.
formed an opinion based on other people's opinions, which I'm really trying not to do anymore.
Right.
And it gave me a different opinion about him. Like,
Sure. I agree.
because to be honest, when that whole laptop thing came out, I thought it was fake. I'm like,
Right.
this is someone. I ain't really left
Yeah,
it.
why would he leave it?
Like, I'm
you
like,
know?
man, this
Well,
might.
probably because he was smoking crack on the way there,
But I still thought, well, this is probably fake. This,
Right.
this just gets left here like this. So the way he broke it down on that podcast, that like they didn't,
Russian
they didn't,
misinformation.
yeah, they didn't, and he didn't actually, they didn't block it. They just didn't push it up
Yeah.
in the algorithm, right? If
Mhm.
you wanted to share it, you could still share it.
Right.
Like
But I
Is
don't
it-
think anyone
is it
can
their
make the argument
responsibility
that it's
to-
been
is it-
applied equally, when the son of the president and it's accepted now had an illegal firearm and threw it in a dumpster behind a school, like, and nothing's done about this and the corruption. You know what I mean? Like we
well,
spent,
I think they're investigating it though.
yeah. Well,
Right.
we'll see what happens
Right.
now, but when we just watched the last president become practically impotent because of investigation after investigation after investigation, and we have a current administration that seems very easily proven to be very corrupt, and there's like nothing. To me, it just does not seem like it's been applied fairly, and that's what I want. Look, I don't care that they
Yeah.
raided his house. Well, you know what? Raid Clinton's house, raid Biden's house, raid Obama's house, raid George W. Bush's house. Raid them all, I don't care, but just do it fairly. Right? The cheating, the political corruption it's worse than I've ever seen it in my life, and it's
Either that, or it's just hyper polarized to get a bunch of
Some.
people infighting too,
Right.
right?
some
To
sure.
keep the lines divided,
Right. And obviously, the media we have now, we can get it
right?
that fast.
And I think
It's easier to
everybody,
spread it
I
around
think
now.
everybody's looking for a boogeyman.
Mhm.
Everybody's looking for an excuse to be pissed off
Sure.
and to go after this person and that person, and
When I start to see them investigate Dems, because in my lifetime, I've seen them blatantly not pay taxes, be tax cheats, like in these corrupt cities. And it just seems like nothing ever happens to a certain side because I think conservatives tend to not want to fight. and be above it.
Yeah.
And the other side wants to fight, and they push it and push it and push it, and they'll push it as far as the other side's going to allow it. But to me,
I would assume there's people on the left that have been held accountable for tax evasion and tax fraud, and I have to believe that it's not completely one-sided. Maybe one side does a better job of saying, hey, this is being done to us, so you'll watch us, or you'll listen to what I'm saying. I
think they get away with it a lot more than you.
Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to see. Someone would have to do a good job at laying out a good case of showing where this person did this exact same thing, and because of their political background, they weren't held accountable and they were allowed to cheat. But because this person's political background, they were held accountable and had to go to court and pay.
And
I would have to see with those exact comparisons.
I agree with the tribalism. And, I'm as guilty of that as anybody. We touched on that in the last video, but I'm not blind either. And I can't be so hypersensitive to tribalism that now I'm ignoring things that, still.
I wouldn't say ignoring. I would.
It walks like a duck, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, I just see these things, again, hyperpolarized and used as tools to agitate.
Sure. Divide and conquer.
To get you, look at me, watch me, listen to me. Right. We were talking about Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some YouTube channels that went stagnant, and all of a sudden they heard something's clinking rocks, Oh, I think all of a sudden their channel gets huge.
Right.
And then they just go after that. They just keep leaning into that because now the channel sees a bunch of growth, and they're getting attention, and it's like, I'm outie.
Right.
It's like, and I think the same thing happens with a lot of this too, where people go, well, this person they didn't do anything to. Well, we don't even know yet. We really need to see what they went in there for, what they got, and I understand because it's legal, they just can't come out and say, right.
But, and again, I'm not a Trump guy, per se, what I mean? But I think he was a far better president than the one we got now. Absolutely. But I've seen him really get right through the coals out of a lot of things that were proven untrue. And now it's coming to light that, maybe the FBI knew that some of this was fake and pushed it through anyways,
I know you say that, but he also didn't do himself any favors when he would stand up there and just...
But has Biden with the Ukraine when, and all the corruption that we've seen with his son and him in this particular area in the world, where they have him on video.
Yeah,
GoPro. I mean, where's the investigation
when you say all this corruption, though, we've seen, we've heard of one video
where it's undisputable, right? I mean, there's still a lot of,
and I don't even know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
There was a lot of other claims made.
I don't even know.
So if the claim has been made, how come the investigation hasn't been done? And that's my point. They threw out a wild claim about Trump, and he was bombarded with investigation after investigation after investigation. Yeah, Where has this been done to Biden with the potential, we'll say potential corruption in his administration and, in his family? Where's that? Like I said, they're just... Maxwell goes to prison, where's the list? Who was flying on that plane to Pedophile Island with Epstein? Where's the list? Who was involved in this? And it just seems like less and less they want to give out fact media, and they want to tell us what to think. And I don't want anyone telling me what to think. Just give me the facts and I'll make up my own mind, about it. So I want to see it applied fairly across the board. Like I don't care that the FBI investigated the ex-president. If he did something wrong, they should investigate him. And if they can prove that he did something wrong, throw him in jail. He's a human, just like you, just like me. He should not be above the law. Neither should Nancy Pelosi. With, what didn't they kind of prove, like, a lot of Congress and the Senate use insider trading, right? If you did that or I did that, we go to prison. These people just,
again,
do it openly. Why is that allowed?
Again, I don't know if that falls under insider trading. I'm not.
I heard a pretty good argument that it kind of did.
I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, I've heard speculations about.
And granted, if someone came to me and I had stock and they said, "Man, you know what? Tomorrow, that stock's going to be worthless," I would be tempted, like anyone else, to dump it, and try to stop the hemorrhaging of my finances, right? I don't know. Some of these issues are pretty complicated, but obviously there's a lot of corruption in the government and in both sides. I'm not saying this is a Democrat issue. Like, the Republicans are just as corrupt. There's not a doubt in my mind. Any of these politicians that go in and what they're supposed to make, $250,000 a year is their salary, is it? Or is it $170,000? It's in that range. And within, a couple of years, they're millionaires. Like, how does this happen?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how you resolve greed and money and
term limits. And you know what? The other thing I'd like to see done is when they pass laws that they cannot exempt themselves from them. Let them live underneath the same laws that they expect us to.
You say term limits, and term limits are fine until it's somebody you like in there that's doing a really good job, and then...
Yeah, but if they're doing a really good job, they're representing their party well, someone else will step in. Like, to me, that wouldn't bother me. Trump did a really good job, I thought, with the economy and job growth. Like, gas was cheap. There was a lot of food. We didn't have food shortages, it just...
Well, I don't know that Trump could have prevented what's happening now.
No, but definitely this was made worse. I think they definitely can make decisions to impact it, to either soften the blow or make it worse. I think when gas is going up and there's wars starting to break out all over the world, and then you stop drilling in your own country, obviously that's going to raise fuel prices even more, burden the citizens of this country even harsher. So, drill, baby, drill, right? Open it up. Don't close the pipelines. Don't, but again, green energy, right? So.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's easy to say when they're not ripping a hole through your backyard, too,
Right.
I mean.
But if that's the price I got to pay to live,
maybe.
Drill it.
Maybe.
We got wind turbines all over the place there. I hate
But those are elective, too, though.
I hate them. They're ugly, but they're there,
Those are elective too, though. Those they get to choose whether or not they get put on their property. Right. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I understand the independence aspects of it, as far as, if you can relieve some of the pressure, maybe you should. I get it.
I don't know that there's a lot of people complaining right now that the quality of life is better than it's ever been for them. I think, people, there's a lot of people right now that's in hardship. Now, not everybody's doing bad. No doubt. But
no, and that's
no matter how much money you make, when you go into Walmart or Meijer and, the shelf, there's not much bread. There's not much bread, like.
Right, I get that.
Gas is $5 a gallon for them as much as it is for us. So.
Right, but I think with everything going on, I think it really only affects maybe the bottom third.
Sure. Well, that's the most vulnerable.
Right. I think that's a good point,
if you're making
right?
$250,000 a year, who cares if eggs are $6 a dozen or $3? You don't care.
Right. you could adjust your portfolio holdings by 1% and
Right.
or
Mhm.
maybe 2%, and you're not going to notice any difference, right?
Right.
Because took Curly to the orthodontist,
Mm-hmm.
you know, got a $8,000 bill from them, so sweet.
Ouch. Lovely.
And the lady that's, going through everything, what needs to be done, all right, it is what it is. And she asked where I worked, or she had seen from the paperwork where I worked. And she's like, oh, do you know so and so? Yeah. She's like, yeah, our kids were in sports together. And she's like, do you hunt? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, my husband hunts, and now that the kids are growing up, I'm helping them out a little more with food plots. She's like, next week he's going down to Indiana. She said, with a little luck, she said, we'll end up buying that property down there. She said he bought 4 new tree stands and new climbing sticks, and you know what? $5 gallon gas does not affect them one bit.
Nope.
Right? Right.
But I think there's a lot more people on this side of the line than there is on that one. And that's probably where we would disagree.
Maybe.
I think we agree on most of it. But
because I listened to another podcast 2 days ago about an e-bike company that specifically targets hunters.
Right.
Oh, and they started out, I think he said, in a 2,000 square foot building. He said they were busting at the seams. They went to 5,000 busts, went to 12,000 busts, and he said they're in 30,000 now, and it's filled. Right. And those bikes, I think he said, were like $5,000.
Yeah.
And they're busting at the seams at 30,000 square feet.
I think
so. I don't
like the one conversation.
I think a lot of these people are preaching to the lower third to sell their perfect example. Every now and then we watch a YouTuber that sells medical supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Supply chain's so bad, better get your medical supplies.
Right.
But then he offers free shipping and sales on his items.
Sure. I ordered a battery for the quad. 2-day delivery.
Yeah.
It was delivered today. It came. Now, I did notice through this particular company, some of their batteries are unavailable now. Last year, they were all available, right?
Yeah.
So stock's probably a little more limited, but as far as delivery, it was 2 days. And I thought I had the same thought. I think one of the things that I noticed, and we did touch on this before, when gas was peaked at its high point, was fifth wheels on the highway and the E-way. I don't see as many campers as normal. It's in this state, it's kind of a big deal to watch that northbound on the weekend, right?
It could be that summer's winding down and kids are getting back to school.
I've kind of been paying attention to it all summer, though. It does seem to be less. And it seems like I've seen more breakdowns, so I kind of wondered if some people were like holding off on auto repairs.
Yeah.
And risking it more than they normally would, probably because they don't have as much money. I can tell you, I went to a party store and grabbed a handful of stuff, some Monsters, a couple bags of Fritos, some beef jerky, and I spent $42.
Well, there's no doubt. I'm not saying.
And I'm like, I used to 3 years ago. You know what I mean? You could feed your family for half a week for that much money.
I'm not saying prices aren't going up.
And I think that when you see shortages, like you're in the deli, and I'm looking at the price of deli meat now, or different brands that's not even available anymore, or beef. Beef's really taking a hit in this area. Like, there's just not as much of it on the rack, and what's there it's getting expensive.
Yeah, so. I haven't necessarily seen a shortage of beef anytime recently, but it definitely has gone up in price. But my point is, I think a lot of people make money from
fear. Oh yeah.
From
some of our favorite YouTubers, right? They get on there like, hey, watch our show. This is what we're going to talk about. Buy gold.
Yeah. Buy
these food buckets.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
I s- when I
see it.
when I sit back and just objectively look at these things now, and not look at them the way I want to see them, but just look at them for what they are. Really, just step back and just take a deep breath,
Right.
look around me, talk to other people like that lady at the orthodontist office, right?
Right.
And go, there are definitely people that are putting a certain spin on this for profit.
Oh, sure.
I'm
Or
not
political
saying
gain.
I'm not saying that they don't necessarily believe what they're saying, but
They take advantage of it for sure.
yeah, they're definitely making a point to maybe make it seem
Never
more
let a good tragedy go to
significant,
waste.
right?
Mhm.
More significant than what it really is. And like I said, I'm not saying everybody is,
Right.
but like those boots on the ground videos you sent me, I don't even watch them anymore. It's
Yeah.
the same shit. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Rosemary and Connecticut can't get noodles, and
Right.
John in Arizona can't get bought. I get it.
Right.
Okay. Now what? Like, is he gonna tell me something that is all of a sudden gonna be a key? Does he have a little crystal ball that he all of a sudden, if I watch enough of his videos, like, oh, there it is, he saw
Yeah.
it, he let me know ahead of time. Like, it doesn't change anything,
Right.
like.
I think I like to watch them just because it kind of confirms some of the stuff that I've seen myself. And then,
But why do you
I'm
need
kind of
to-
watching it across the board. Like,
But why do you need the confirmation though? It doesn't change what you're doing in your personal life. It doesn't change. Are you looking for motivation to?
I don't think it's motivation. I think it's
Are you
just,
looking for confirmation? Yeah.
it's not just this area. Like, oh, okay, now it's becoming a national issue. Like, a lot of people can't find bread, right? I understand what you're saying. If I go in and there's limited bread, there's limited bread, regardless of what I see in that video. But when I watch them, it kind of helps me gauge just how far down the road we're getting, because I could walk into that store and see the racks kind of empty with bread, but that be a particular issue for this area, right? And go back tomorrow and there could be, maybe the shipment was late, you don't know. But when you see that yourself, and then you see that it's happening across the country, different cities and different states are experiencing the same thing, then it kind of tips you that, okay, this wasn't a late shipment, this is becoming a really big problem, and maybe I want to buy some bread and freeze it, or something.
Well, shouldn't you be doing that?
Or
just
make it
knowing the
yourself.
state of things, shouldn't you just be doing that?
Right.
And it shouldn't really change you doing those. Say, if anybody by now hasn't seen the supply chain disruptions and bought an extra couple boxes of spaghetti
Sure.
noodles, or
Yeah.
hasn't bought a couple extra things of chicken,
Right, some ravioli.
right? Like, I had this conversation with a family member,
Mm-hmm.
and they were kind of, and it might have been a way on like, hey, they're talking food shortage, and they're like,
Right.
well, I can't do nothing about it anyways. I'm tired of hearing about it. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to approach this differently. So the
Mhm.
next time, I'm like, hey, I wasn't trying to stir you up. All I'm saying is, if you like spaghetti or you like,
Should buy some extra.
buy a couple extra boxes, because
Right.
you don't know where this is going to end up,
Right.
right? Like the zero sugar chocolate
Mhm.
syrup I use in those coffees, right? We
Right.
went a month and a half or so where we couldn't find it anywhere,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden it's just
It's
everywhere, right?
Yeah, a big shipment of it comes in.
So I bought 4 of them.
Right.
Now I got enough to last me,
Hopefully through the next dry
I didn't
spell.
freak out about it though. I was like,
Right.
okay, I ain't got sugar-free chocolate syrup for coffees. Okay, well,
Yeah, and I didn't mean like I freaked
That's
out.
what-
I use it as a gauge just
Yeah.
to kind of.
or the
Gauge
Tractor
my
Supply
response.
thing, right?
Yeah.
I told you about the chicken feed at Tractor
Yeah.
Supply, right? In the story the guy gave me there.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 days later, I hear YouTubers,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Same,
sent you the clip
yeah.
where he said, this guy drives for Tractor Supply, whatever,
Yeah.
or a company that
That
delivers
supplies
to
their stuff,
whatever, And he said, but I had already told you that.
Right.
Like I know what's going on
Mhm.
here. You know,
Right.
like this guy on YouTube isn't telling me anything different than I already know. Other than, and I probably caught myself doing this from time to time, oh, this is confirmation, this is confirmation.
Right.
What does it change? Outside of ruffling my feathers and getting me agitated, what?
Right.
I already know.
And I try to not get like
And that-
tooled up or wound up about
Because it doesn't change it. You
Right.
can't change.
have measured responses.
You can't change the money you make right now, and
No.
you can't change the price of gas. You can't. It's like all you can do is just get up, put another foot in front of the other one the next day, and just keep going.
Right.
Like just keep doing your thing. Because getting agitated over that shit doesn't do anything. Doesn't bring anything productive to your life.
No.
It just agitates you, gives you more anxiety, more
Yeah.
worry, more stress.
Agreed. But I think, you do
I get-
respond to it. So if I can kind of gauge just how far down the road we are and some of the stuff, it does change my behavior sometimes.
But
right?
that's my point, though. He doesn't have a crystal ball. He
Right.
is not going to tell you that, oof, you know what? This person here is seeing a shortage in macaroni noodles, so the wave's coming.
Right.
You better get out and buy mac. It's not.
But I also know that I
You're
could
not gonna-
watch it yesterday and see that there was a refinery fire. And I know then that's going to change my response of, instead of filling up 2 days later, I filled up that night. Because you can assume then that there's probably going to be an increase in fuel and try to get ahead of it. And granted,
But if
usually
you
it's
don't let
only-
your tank get below half a tank, anyways, and you
Right.
got a 25-gallon tank in that truck at 12 gallons, even if it goes up by 50 cents, you're talking $6 difference.
Right. But over a year, that
Or
adds up.
but you know what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Because
I
I get it if you're in that bracket of $250,000 a year.
But what I'm saying is, so you were good for the next 12 gallons. Well, it still went up by 50 cents, so the next 12 gallons is
Right.
still going to be 50 cents more because
Sure.
you can't, what I'm
Or
saying?
hopefully you can ride the wave long enough till it starts to come back down. I mean, it's going to catch you sometimes.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
But if
so
you
a
can
tank
save
of-
when you can, and you can save on eggs when you can, and you can save, I think across the board when you have those kind of habits, I think it does help when you look at that across the year. Like power consumption. I've seen some differences in the way you use
Yeah.
electricity now
Yeah.
because the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that doing the same thing I do with fuel? Like you're trying to save when you can. When they're charging you at this peak hour,
Right.
they're gonna charge you a higher rate. All of a sudden the lights are off, and it's the same thing.
Well,
you know?
I don't know that the two are this. I guess if you're purely just using it for that purpose,
That's what I use
okay.
it for.
But if you're using it to get agitated and
no, I don't.
a
I don't get,
confirmation bias of
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
get
you
upset
know, like,
because
I'm-
I mean, me sitting in the house, mad as hell, ain't gonna change it.
that's
No.
what I worry about.
It might influence how I vote, right? In the upcoming elections, like I do like the idea of when you can look across the board and see what areas are doing worse in the country and who are running those areas, right? I do like that. It kind of helps solidify in my mind how I think particular parties run things, right? But to be mad and angry and upset, no, I used to be upset and stressed out and full of anxiety, and I stopped because that didn't fix anything.
No.
And now I just say, okay, so this granary burnt down. Now there's going to be even a bigger shortage in pasta, so I'm going to go tonight and buy a couple extra boxes. That's kind of how I
Possibly.
use it,
Possibly.
right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because if it's that instant, I can't believe that.
It shouldn't
It's
be,
that-
but it always is.
that-
right?
I can't believe that.
Justification to raise prices. Sure, they're going to jump on it.
Possibly.
I bet you within hours of that refinery fire, gas was already going up. How? I mean, that gas has already been manufactured. It's already been made. That refinery had nothing to do with that, but it's,
Right. No, it's
futures
speculation for
and
futures. I get
speculation,
that.
right?
I understand.
So I think, you know, granary, you know,
Possibly. Yeah, possibly
Yeah.
it could affect. But you know what? Should people really be consuming that much bread and freaking grains?
no, not
regardless?
really,
Like,
but you know,
like at the end of the day, it's
people like
like it's kind of a
spaghetti.
net positive, right? Like,
Right.
oh, okay, so
I mean,
you're not
I'm a
you're
big
not
guy, right? I can miss a couple of meals, no doubt. It'd probably be good to. I agree, but like I said, I use it just to kind of just give me an idea, a little better idea of where I think we're at and how I got to react to it. But being angry and upset, I agree with you. That's a waste of time, and it just makes you. It leads you to make bad decisions, anyways, right? Just sloppy decisions, like to go out and buy 42 boxes of pasta. I mean, you know,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I get it.
And now I don't have gas money.
If you like spaghetti, yeah, right.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
more to my point. And that's why I think a lot. That's why I think happens a lot on there, though.
Oh, sure. And you know it because, and obviously the feedback these channels are getting, because a couple of them that we watch a lot say the same
Well, I
thing.
wouldn't say watch a lot.
Or watch
I've
some. We're familiar with it.
Right.
Okay. You hear them say a lot in their videos. No, we're not trying to upset you. Don't get upset about this.
yeah.
Which tells me then they're probably getting a lot of feedback where people are getting really upset and nervous and anxious. You know. And I don't think it's anything you should be upset about. I think it's just things you should pay attention to and adjust yourself accordingly where, you know, you have the best chance you can give yourself, you know, to keep whatever comforts it, you know.
Yeah. I agree. Like I said, but if you haven't figured, and maybe somebody out there will go, well, I never looked at it like that. And I hope they do if they haven't realized, like, yeah, if you like spaghetti and you have it once a month or once every 2 weeks, and you're counting on it being there every time, you should probably just get a couple extra boxes if you enjoy spaghetti that much.
Right.
Just so you can continue to enjoy it.
Right. Now,
but like you said, to go out and buy 100 boxes of noodles
and then short yourself.
Right.
You know.
It doesn't make sense.
Now you can't buy rubbing alcohol, peroxide, or fuel, or toothpaste, or anything else that your household's gonna need.
Right.
Dawn dish soap, you know.
Right, because somebody said grain shortages because of this or that.
And you panic.
Yeah.
Right.
That
agreed.
I've been subject to those things, so now I'm very cautious of it. Like I've had people, you know, work me up to the point like, oh God,
the sky's falling.
Yeah. You know, I've seen those things in myself. So now I'm very cautious about buying into that bullshit. You know, and now I'm starting to pick it out, like here and there where, okay, there's a shortage, but you're having a sale on your own products that you told me nobody can get.
Right.
Why would you be having a sale on it?
Right.
If it was in that short demand, wouldn't you be raising your prices?
I think sometimes you see that they did
inflation.
raise the prices, and then they bring it down on a sale so that they can tell you, look, it's a sale price, buy it, even though technically it's more expensive than it was last month, even at the sale price.
Maybe.
I know I bought a bag of Fritos yesterday, a small bag, and it was $5.49.
Right.
Wow.
But you know, I was at the store on Thursday. I went to the store, stopped on my way home. And she said, oh, hey, taco salad sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And she was way up to get some Doritos. And, you know, Doritos are $5.49 a bag, right? Well, the store I went to, it was 3 bags for $6.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good
you know,
price,
you know what I'm saying, though?
I'd have bought 6 bags.
Well, I bought 3 bags, you know. I pretty much got 3 bags for the price of one, right? Because, you know, damn near. They all said $5.49 on the bag, but it was 3 for $6. So I bought 3 bags. Now we can have taco salad 3 or 4 times, you know?
Right.
Right? But so that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, the price has gone up, but why are they selling 3 bags for $6 if it's $5.49 a bag? You know,
maybe they got their shipment they were waiting on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they must have a surplus. You know, but I'm saying if supply chains are that bad, why are they running sales?
Well, I think, you know, another thing that because of them particular videos that I watch that you quit watching, you do start to see also.
I wouldn't say quit watching. I just
reduced.
watching. Yeah.
I think that you see, maybe look at the expiration date on those.
I did.
You know,
I did.
Some of the reports I've seen is
I
they're
know,
putting stuff on sale, but it's stuff that's
and-
going to expire.
and-
Like it was probably set in one of those shipping containers for the last 6 months, and it finally came in, and they're just trying to get rid of it because it's going to go bad.
And you brought that up to me, and I've been keeping an eye on it, and I haven't
Right.
seen anything abnormal.
The only thing that I've really caught myself personally is crackers. Like I've bought now over the last month and a half, I've bought different kinds of crackers, whether they're Ritz, saltines, townhouse crackers. A lot of them are smashed. I don't understand where.
Well, I think that's just.
I've always eaten crackers, so you know you always get a pack here and there that's got some smashed up crackers, but this has been way more than normal.
I've noticed a lot more crushed
Yeah.
chips, like those.
Yep.
You know, like, but I think that's more just. You know,
it's just damaged food that technically the box that it was in was damaged, and they normally wouldn't sell it and they'd ship it back, but because there's not as much of that product, you're starting to see another thing that I seen was coffee creamers with the tops all busted, and I think they're trying to sell them anyways.
I think it's just lack of handling. I think it's
I think they don't have as much stock as they used to, so they're selling things that typically they wouldn't.
See, I think it's just.
It was kind of like
that everybody's just shorthanded as far as employees, and they're trying to just shovel shit through.
I agree there's some of that, but
I think it's just sloppy.
We seen a particular store that I'll leave unnamed, but pasta, almost every box that you picked up was open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
again,
I don't know if it was the company that they were just using as little glue as possible.
I've worked in manufacturing my whole life,
right.
and I understand how these process. I understand
I glued
what you're saying.
Shut,
and what happens is normally in production, either the glue ran low, the orifice that squirts the glue started getting plugged, and it didn't get noticed because quality control is probably laxing because you don't have as many people, you don't have time to do as many checks. Normally they would either go through, rework that, recycle it, but like you said, because of the way stuff is, it just gets pushed through now.
And now they're trying to sell stuff that I think typically.
Normally they don't have the employees to rework all those boxes, to go through with a little glue gun, like they would. A lot of those jobs they would bring in temporary help.
Right.
They'd set that product off to the side.
Sure.
They'd call the temp agency. They'd bring them in. They'd go through, reglue all these boxes, package them. 2 days later, it would get shipped out. But now they don't
have the manpower.
No, they don't have the manpower to go through and rework all this product.
Workers.
And
I wonder if some of it is they just reduce the amount of glue that they use to save money.
Possibly.
You don't think companies are above that? Because one of the reports I heard, and it's been multiple times now by different people, was a particular soap, dish soap, that the quality has been throughout the years, and now all of a sudden there's a noticeable difference that it's thinner, it doesn't work as well. If I owned a company, I could see where I would want to trim as much fat as possible.
Or they're trying to stretch product because they're having a hard time getting these chemicals in to make this. So they're stretching. I could see that. Yeah. In the box gluing thing, I could see them doing a test, hey, let's run 5,000 boxes with this amount of glue. Or they tried it. We tried it before where I used to work. We tried different glues and found out that
this glue doesn't work as well.
A vendor would come in and be like, hey, we can provide your glue at this price. You'll save $15,000 a year by using our glue. And we use it, and then customers get back with us and say, my crap's falling apart.
But
we adjust our process, temperatures, amount, and find out it's just not going to work.
It doesn't change the fact that store was trying to sell that, and typically they would not. Typically that would get shipped back.
Right.
So that does tell me that,
but maybe
feeling it.
Maybe, or they... Who knows if it even got up to their boss that these boxes. If you went to the checkout, if you grabbed the box and got up to the checkout and you scan it, like, oh crap, this one's open. And you call the lady over, or hey, this one was open. they don't have anybody that runs back and gets you another one anymore. They
No.
throw it in the cart,
Right.
and then you either have to try to run back, or next time
Yeah,
you'll
you
just
just-
get one.
yeah,
It
you
happened to
get
me
it
the other
next
day.
time.
The almost exact same scenario.
Right.
You know, I got up there and I scanned something, and it was opened a little bit, and I called later. I'm like, hey, I'm like, can we? She goes, well, what you can do is just scan it,
Right.
check out, push the cart over by me because they
And
have
then
that little
run back and
station.
get
And then
one.
you can go back and get one, and then I know
Swap it
that you
out,
already
yeah.
scanned it, and so that's what I did.
See, I
But if they don't have the people, I bought an item, and I saw the shelf tag, and it said $8.97, and I told you about this item, and I got up there, scanned it, $11.97. I
Yeah.
told the guy, I said, shelf tag said this.
a
Well,
lot of
was
that.
there more than one there? I said, yeah, there were 4 more of these there.
right.
All right. I said, you should let someone know. That was 3,
Mm-hmm.
4. I bet that's been a month. I went in there the other day. Shelf tag still says $8.97, and the items are still all
And
right there.
I agreed that some of that is just staffing. They just
Right.
don't have the staff to
So
but
if you were working at
are you telling me
any
that
one of
that
the big
store
chains,
would
right?
be above letting people? How many people bought that product and didn't catch that? Right.
Right.
Little extra money for the store when times are tough. So, you know, I could
I
see
think
both.
they get-
I think it's a mixture.
I don't know
you
that
know.
they pay for damaged product even if they return it to the.
No, but I'm saying you go up to the checkout aisle and you buy a product that you thought was $8.59 and it's $11.59 and you didn't catch
Oh
it.
yeah, right.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no doubt.
And the
Yeah.
store's like, well, you know, you didn't catch it, you didn't catch it. You know, a little bonus. So
Oh, I think
and I've
though,
heard
I
of
think
that
that
going.
I think that specific
a lot.
item probably is $11.97 because
Right.
I could see that one definitely going up by that
Sure.
amount. I just don't think there's any communication there. To
Well, I
change
think
it.
it's both. I think that product probably is 11.37 or
Yeah.
57,
Yeah.
but it is definitely in the store's benefit to let people think they're buying something
Oh, I
cheaper.
got what you're saying. I
right?
see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, and then
yeah, I
you
get
know,
it.
are they really in a hurry all the time
Yeah, I
to
getcha.
change all this? Because this seems to be a problem that is not just at a local particular
what you're
store.
saying.
Like this is happening a lot. There's
So
a
you're
lot of
saying they're
complaints.
intentionally leaving the
Yeah.
shelf tags low because
Oh,
you think you're getting a
absolutely.
deal? Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a good price
That's
still.
a good price, so I'll
and-
get that too.
And,
then,
nobody pays attention.
no, man, that's you're bringing it up so
Yeah.
fast. Bleep, bleep, bleep.
You're not
bleep.
paying attention
You're not
'cause you
paying
got
attention.
15
You're,
things
you're on
and-
your
yeah.
phone.
Yeah,
You know,
gotcha.
hey
I
honey,
gotcha.
I'm on my way home. I'm in the checkout aisle. You don't catch it.
That'd be shady if that's what it is.
Yeah, business is a lot of times.
That would be shady
you know?
if that's what's happening.
I think it's a mixture. I think it's some of that, and I think
Yeah.
some of it's just staffing.
Yeah.
We know everyone's kind of understaffed right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so I think it's both. But I think there's a lot of look at if you have a company and you can absolutely exploit that and take advantage of that situation. Those companies are not above that, and all they got to do is say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have the staffing to change it." You know.
Yeah.
Little extra money that adds up over a month of you
Yeah.
know customers buying different products that are priced wrong.
Yeah.
So see, again, that's kind of how I kind of gauge things, just paying attention. That's all.
Right.
You know, I'm not hitting any panic buttons about anything. I'm just kind of paying attention and trying to adjust. Like it was those videos that kind of tipped me off to that in the first place when I really started to pay more attention, which we should anyways. It's a good
Yeah, you
habit,
should keep
right?
it in your peripheral. I get
Yeah.
it.
But
I
you know,
get it.
I'm a little more careful now. I pay
But
attention a little
I
closer.
think a lot
now.
of people use it as a mechanism to stay worked up and
Sure.
validate whatever they're
Right.
doing in their life. It's a confirmation bias,
Yeah.
right?
There was a
Right.
particular person I was listening to on the way out to do this podcast with
Yeah.
you, and these food buckets, 3 months supply, and it's $250 off right now to buy them. And I thought, wouldn't they be $250 more with the way things are going? Like,
Right.
so in agreement with you, like
Yeah.
I've seen some of that too. Now it was said that this company's doing that because they really want to help people in the country. They want to get as many of these buckets out there as they can,
Yeah.
even if they got to sell them reduced, just because they believe like some lean times are coming and they just want to help. Maybe it's just a good company, just showing a little heart, letting their love light shine a little. Personally, I think No, it's probably not, but it's probably
I don't know how much will be affected here
I
in
don't
this
know.
country
Not
by.
as bad.
I don't.
No. I wouldn't want to live in, other countries where you depend on so much, where you depend so heavily on other countries to ship you grain, like
Right.
places in, countries in Africa and
Right.
stuff
Right.
where, they don't grow a lot of their own crops. They don't have gardens really. Like,
Right.
yeah, I think some people around the
And
world's really
trust me,
gonna
I feel
hurt.
horrible for those
Yeah,
people. I feel horrible for anybody that doesn't have the opportunities that we have here.
right.
And most of us squander the opportunities we even have
Oh,
here.
sure.
We don't work to our full potential.
No.
Very rarely. Not saying all of us. I mean, there's a lot of people that
But America's had it good.
Yeah.
It's
we're
for
still
sure.
sitting in air conditioning with
Yeah.
lights on right here, drinking Monsters and
Right.
talking
Yeah,
to the
I mean, I'm
world.
drinking energy drinks. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
drinking water that I just recovered out of
I got a
the
full
creek,
belly.
right? Yeah. So, some things have changed here that's made it more difficult, but life is still good in America.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
It sucked paying $5 a gallon gas. Now it's down to $3.50. I
Yeah.
saw yesterday.
Yep.
But we made it through.
Yeah.
And by no means am I in the top third.
Right. Well,
It hurt. I mean,
hurt.
it
Yeah, it
sucked.
definitely changed. There was things I wanted to buy that I had to
Yeah.
delay,
Yeah.
for sure.
But at the end of the day, and I know there's a lot of people that, probably, couldn't pay their car insurance or they couldn't pay their electric bill because
Right.
they had to get to work with it. And I feel terrible for those people.
Sure.
I
And that, that's probably some of the quality control issues too that you have with, disgruntled employees right now that
Yeah.
just are not making a living.
Yeah.
And these companies want to just grind these employees up, just work them to death. And, with inflation, they're just not making that good of a living doing it. Man, I could see where you just start throwing boxes of crackers in a box and not really caring much if they got smashed up,
right.
Right. I couldn't hardly even blame the people.
Right.
There, I get a little bit liberal on that issue
Yeah.
about, living wages, and because again, companies can be greedy. We've
Sure.
seen it with the electric car issue, and the government wants to give everybody a little grant to buy one, $7,000. And what did the automakers do? They raised the cars up by $8,000.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's the report I heard. They went up by $8,000, so they consumed the $7,000 that the government was going to give you, and then plus $1,000. They always take what they have to plus a little.
Man.
Not saying, and I'm a capitalist. Like, I believe, like, start a company, start your own business, get rich. I hope you do. I wish everybody in this country could be rich. It's the dream here. And if I see you do that, if you start your own business and you become rich, it tells me, I can do that too. Right? So I'm not against that. But I mean, still be a good human.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, don't shaft the poor people.
Right.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate when those kind of things
Yeah.
happen. And the government, I don't know how they regulate that. I don't know if they can step in and say, we're going to give people X
This
amount of dollar
credit.
incentive to buy
Yeah.
your product, but you can't raise the price of your
Right.
product. But
Again, then you're getting into
Right.
government control
Right.
and regulation, which I hate.
right,
So these are complicated
Right.
issues because you need some, but
Right.
you don't want too much. But every time you give them a little, they just want more.
that's,
Where do you balance that? It's a fine line.
I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for.
Yeah, I haven't been able
definitely
to
don't have
puzzle
an
that
answer
one
for
out.
that.
I think you do need some oversight for sure, but it's abused, and we see that now. They infiltrate every part of your life now. I don't like that. I want to be free. And I guess
Yes.
in real capitalism, you just let that company do what it wants, and if it shafts enough of its customers, they'll just go to the competition, right?
Right.
I think the problem
That's
is
the
when
idea.
when you have only a couple of choices. And, they're on the golf course together yesterday, strategizing about, keeping their prices. If you raise yours, I'll raise mine. And, then you don't have that choice to.
Would true freedom be anarchy?
The purge. Probably. Does anyone want true 100% freedom? I don't know. Maybe not.
Because then you are 100% responsible
for yourself.
Right.
And a lot of people would not do real well in that environment, I think. Or they'd learn to, I guess. Definitely should be more free than we are. Absolutely. I think the way things are right now is terrible.
As far as,
just
because,
the amount of information that,
people say, oh, socialized medicine, right? Socialized medicine.
Yeah.
But we're all glad that grandma has Medicare, though.
Right.
And we're all glad that people that can't afford insurance have Medicaid, though.
Because you can't trade a chicken for a pulled tooth anymore, you could,
And we're all glad when the fire department shows up, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we're all glad when the police show up.
And
we're glad that our kids can go to public schools from kindergarten through 12th grade for free, right?
Mm-hmm. I know there's some benefits, right? Well, tax money,
right, which pays for all these things, which is kind of socialist, right?
It's some, sure. So I think it's a balance of it is kind of the sweet spot. Everyone says we're a democracy, but we're not. We're a republic. Would you really want a true 100% democracy? I don't know that I would. I think you'd have a lot more Joe Biden presidents. Let's go, Brandon. I don't know. What, would you want to get rid of the Electoral College?
Right.
Do you trust your neighbors to do the research to really vet out a candidate, whether that would be a good person or not, or are they just going to vote blue or red?
That's their choice. That's freedom, though.
It is freedom, but
nobody says you have to have an Ivy League education to be able to vote.
No, not at all. But I'm saying, look at what that candidate stands for. Right. You know what I mean? And how many people don't? They just go to the box and, straight tickets. They just check the box at the top, Democrat or Republican.
Right, but others would say that even all the research you did, it was still incorrect because you failed to see this, and this about your candidate and.
Right.
None of these are easy subjects, you know. And
no, there are things I've wrestled with. There's been times where I thought, just they cheat this so bad anyways, just get rid of the Electoral College. Who are these people to tell us, if you win the popular vote, but they're gonna give you the other candidate the presidency based on electoral votes. There were times in my life where I thought, well, that's not right. If you win the popular vote, you win it.
Right.
That's how it should be done. Now, I don't know. They're good questions. They make you think.
I don't have the answer. I'll tell you that right now. I definitely don't have the answer on how you... I think all these things at scale are so hard to manage, right?
Right.
There was a time where it was really small and you could just go to your town hall and cast your ballot for your candidate and it was simple. Yeah. And then it got to 150 million people voting, and holy shit.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
Yeah. Just like the social media things.
Yeah.
People complain about YouTube algorithms can you imagine being at the head of one of these companies trying to manage this shit show?
Oh God, yeah. You got all of your channel builders, right? All of your talent that's making what you have successful, complaining about one thing, and then you got the federal government leaning on you, telling you something else, and you're caught in the crossfire between both and just trying to manage yourself through this the way everything's polarized right now, it'd be terrible. I don't envy anyone that's on top of this mess right now.
And you're trying to hire people not to
Mhm.
inject their own opinion and thoughts into making decisions about this and that.
Right.
And holy crap. Like, no
Yeah, it's a
thank you.
mess.
No thank you. It would take a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder why these guys get them, $50 million
Yeah.
bonuses and yeah.
I even look at just normal companies like what we were talking about, supermarkets, grocery
Mhm.
stores, like even managing that, like even in good times, it's a shit show, I'm sure.
Right.
With night stock employees and people calling
Yeah.
in, and then just
Day
trying
shift
to
complaining, night shift didn't do their stuff. They're
right.
lazy.
Second shift didn't set up
Yeah.
stuff right, and just the
Oh
whole
yeah, I've been a
the whole
manager for a long time.
debacle. And then you throw it into this situation where there's not enough employees and supply chain and diesel prices and
Right?
maintenance costs and holy
Yeah.
crap.
Coolers going down. You can't find the parts
Yeah,
for now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trying
Terrible.
to manage that,
And then all your employees having a bad attitude because they're underpaid
Yeah.
and overworked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not
that's
a
in
fun
every
time to be a
industry.
manager.
And that's in every
Yeah.
industry.
That's across the board. And I've been a manager for a long time. It's a tough job.
And then throw all this into
Yep.
the mix.
Wow.
And
Not
we're
fun.
talking about a grocery. Okay, so you say, and I'm not playing this off like only a grocery store, but like if there's not crackers on the shelf, there's not crackers on the shelf.
Right.
But can you imagine running in an industry where if you don't have certain components or certain chemical, like now none of your employees are working,
Right.
like holy shit, like the soap manufacturer,
Yeah.
what if they can't get a certain chemical?
Right.
Now what? Now like they're just like, sorry guys, like
Yeah,
nobody comes into
well,
work until
Again, one of that particular video, I do get some feedback on some of that where companies are, they're not working Fridays anymore. Right? Because, and then you start seeing like, man, people, they're getting their hours reduced. It's a bad time right now to lose any money. You feel bad for those people.
well, and then how many employees go, well, if this isn't stable, then I'm just gonna leave, and then they
Right.
do get the product, and now they don't have employees. I don't know how often this happens, but I could see a
I think
scenario
right now
where
it's just a giant mess.
I could see a scenario where that could definitely play a factor.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough times make tough people. Tough people
Yeah.
make easy times.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Where this is going to go, I don't know. I think my belief is next year will be worse. I don't think we've peaked with the misery yet. I think it's going to get worse. I think, fuel came
No, it's
down.
cascading, definitely. It's
The
gonna
trajectory
it's
is
a progression.
downward,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, no doubt.
And like gas, you had mentioned it came down, but I think by next month it'll probably be back up again. I don't think it's stable. It's going to stay down. I think still the trajectory is high fuel prices, and some of it's because it's being done on purpose. We know that because they're pushing green energy initiatives. That's known. Like they've admitted that. California's trying to pass the law now that and within 7 years you can't have a gas powered vehicle in the state.
Well, they can't sell them there.
Yeah.
I think. I don't.
No,
I think you
the
can
way
own
I
them.
understood it was they don't even want them on the road anymore.
Yeah, the way I
Which is
understood is
funny.
they're not. They want to not. But I don't.
The part I don't understand is
it-
we got a grid right now that can, they can
That-
barely keep running, and now you're gonna give everybody an electric vehicle on top of it.
That's where. Well, not even that. But are there even enough components to supply?
They
that
can't even
many
build them right
electric
now.
cars
The
for all
precious
those
minerals that it takes, that the metals and stuff that they gotta harvest out of the earth. That look, I could go on a whole rant about green energy and the scam that is. Now I lived off
I don't know
green
that,
energy,
okay.
and I
I
love
say, I
solar.
don't know that it's a scam.
What we're being told is a scam for sure. I think it damages the earth more. How, what?
Maybe in the short term.
You look at those wind turbines and how much diesel, how much steel is in those,
right.
right? So how much damage, how much carbon footprint did it take to build one of those And the report I
Right.
seen was it takes 30 years to break even, and they got a 20-year lifespan. Now, is that true or not? The
Okay.
guy,
And I okay, I'm gonna push back here a little bit. I get that. I remember when the first plasma TVs came out,
mhm,
they were thousand.
right,
I want to throw. I don't know. It seemed like they were like 4, 5,
astronomical,
6 grand
yeah,
for a plasma TV,
right,
right? It took people buying those expensive TVs that weren't even that great compared to today.
Sure.
They weren't even that great, but it took people buying this new technology that wasn't that good to drive innovation to make better technology
Right.
cheaper. And I think that's where we are with this green energy is we have to sacrifice something up front to get kind of this.
I agree.
It's kind of
Give it up
shitty and expensive.
to give it up on the front and take it in the
but
rear.
it's going
right?
to drive innovation and technology to produce cheaper, better
I'm
things
not.
that are
I'm
going to
not
have a
against-
smaller carbon footprint. That's my hope.
I'm not. Yeah, I would love
That-
like green energy across the board. Like every house has their own solar panels and
Right.
wind turbines that help supply their own energy, be more energy independent.
Right.
I would love to see that, but I think the scam, what we're being sold right now, is let's kill fossil fuel because anything that uses fossil fuel is way more detrimental to the earth than these green energy initiatives like wind turbines and things like that. And we know that it's very destructive. We've seen the mines that they've had to dig to get the metals for to build batteries and stuff for these electric cars. Like, this is doing a lot of damage to the earth too. So let's be honest about it. Okay, let's own it and say, look, we want to go green, but this is what it takes, and this is also destroying Mother Earth. But eventually, we can make it better, whatever. Make your argument, but don't hide it and act like these solar panels are the cure-all for everything, and now the Earth is going to thrive because you're getting solar panels when you're destroying another country, mining all this precious metals out of their country to build this stuff, and then the other part of the scam is, where does a lot of this stuff come from China, who, the relationship between America and China is very lucrative, to say the least, right now. Being enslaved to another country, that's not energy independence at all. So yeah, there's a lot of it that I think is a scam, absolutely just being lied to. I know I've seen them build those turbines and how many diesel trucks and bulldozers and backhoes they had out there. Like, you're telling me that uses less carbon footprint than my truck driving down that road once a day or twice a day?
Right. I get that. But again, I think the long-term goal is to build in the future to have better technology to
I love
produce
I
less
lived
with
lived
more.
off green
Right.
energy for 7 years.
Right.
Solar, and I loved it. I loved the independence of it.
Right.
I was not grid tied. I was completely off grid and independent
Right.
and on my own.
But
But I also know through that experience that it's not, look, you're going to put some solar panels on your roof and now you get all this free energy. That's not true either. It snows. You got to go out and clean the panels off. Your batteries go bad. Cells start to die, and some of these batteries are expensive to replace. Cloudy days, rainy days. I had a generator to back it up with a battery charger, so I could run a generator. Again, fossil fuel.
But again, if we don't buy this kind of crappy, clunky stuff now, we're never going to drive more innovation and technology further down the road because there's not going to be any money invested in it if people aren't willing to sacrifice.
I want the honest assessment, though. Don't blow smoke up my ass about it. Tell the truth. How do they make these solar panels? Where do they come from? How much damage is that doing versus a carbon footprint? Is it really better than fossil fuel?
Maybe not in the short term, but I think the long-term goal is, again,
maybe
if we don't start somewhere, right? But we got to start
because then you got to get your solar panels. You got to see how long do they last before you're replacing them. How much mining in the earth are you doing to build? Once everybody's using solar panels, Well, that's a lot of digging holes in this planet to get out precious metals. So I mean, don't drill a hole in the earth, but dig a giant mine to get ore out to build solar panels for everybody. Like, how reliable will it be? I don't know. My experience with it was it's not as reliable as being tied into the grid. Sometimes you find yourself, you come up with problems and you got to create solutions. You're on your own, right? When you're off the grid, you're on your own. You got to figure out how to keep, and I was more energy conscious, shut the lights off when you're not using them. That was a good habit. I think we should be good stewards of the earth. The earth takes care of us. We should take care of the earth. I'm not against green energy. I'm against the narrative that they're pushing right now, because I don't believe it. I think you're right. It's gonna hurt a lot up front so that we can come out further ahead down the road. I'm okay with that. I just want the honest assessment. Again, don't lie to me. Just give me the facts.
You just told me the honest assessment, though. You just told me.
That's something I know, but how many people do you know that spent in your life, your particular life? How many people do you know that spent 7 years living on solar? I would bet I'm probably the only one.
Right.
So how many other people don't know that? They just know what they seen in a meme or on CNN, or even our YouTubers that we watch, that push a narrative sometimes, that facts that ain't exactly correct. Like, a lot of people just don't know that. So I want them to be honest about that and tell the people the truth and say, hey, later on, this is going to benefit us a lot more in the long run, but it's going to hurt up front. But, I don't want you killing people either, because we have to have green energy and be off fossil fuels within 2 years. Like, it should be a slow phasing that in and phasing fossil fuels out.
Right.
That's the way it should be done, and that's not what's happening right now. These idiot politicians are passing laws like, in 5 years, this is done. We're not going to use that anymore. No more coal. Like, it takes coal to build this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to completely.
Well, how much of that's just posturing, though, right?
Sure.
How many politicians are in office right now that we've seen campaigning saying, oh, if you elect me, I'm going to get this done.
Right.
When they could just do it right now if they were that
why not do it right now?
Right. It's
Where's
political
the integrity
posturing, right?
anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
I think politics has always been this way.
I think so.
I think it's always been this way. I don't think this is anything unique to our time and this period, this era.
Well, I think politicians have probably always been scumbags. A lot of them,
But
or the ones that weren't, probably had good intentions when they got there and then figured out after a little while, like, well, I ain't gonna change nothing. So, I guess I'll go golfing with these guys, and it is what it is.
Right. And we hear that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of finger pointing and arguing, and then they're at the bar having drinks, right?
Right.
I don't know how much that's true either. You hear this.
So no, don't get me wrong. I love green energy. I love the independence of it. I like kind of just being responsible for myself. And when it snowed, I had to go out and sweep off the solar panels. I wasn't going to get any charge, and problem solving, when problems did come up, I figured out good solutions for them. So I'm not against that at all, but I definitely, I also know that we're dealing with a government that took sick people and stuck them in nursing homes. In my opinion, killed a lot of people that was unnecessary, right? So, are they willing to just, shut people's lights off because of their carbon footprint and let people freeze to death in the winter? Probably. I don't have a lot of faith in these people that's running things right now, which I agree, it's probably always been dirty and nasty, but I think people are less patriotic now than they've ever been. I think politicians then still had some sort of commitment to people, even if they were shady and corrupt. Like, I don't know that they would just let people freeze to, maybe, I didn't live back then either, so maybe they would just let, a bunch of people freeze to death to get through their initiatives.
I don't think I'd be very popular come re-election time, though.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we've seen it kind of happen 2 years ago. They weren't freezing people to death. They were just sticking sick people in nursing homes who are the most vulnerable among us. It made no sense. Terrible decision.
I
There was
don't, I
four or
don't,
five states that did that.
I don't, yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what they were basing those decisions on.
I don't know. Saving money in Medicare. I mean,
I
you
don't
gotta
know.
wonder. There's my tinfoil hat moment.
I don't know.
Who, follow the money? Who benefited from it? I don't know. All I can tell you is if it was my grandma that was in there and that happened, I would be upset.
I don't know. I don't have, again, I don't have enough information to draw a conclusion on, because I don't know what kind of information the people that were given that were making those
Right.
decisions. I don't know if they thought they could isolate it, you know. I, I don't know. I don't know if the hospitals. I don't know. I really don't have.
Even
Because
green,
again, I'm very cautious because I hear
Right.
these things, and how much of this is one side trying to agitate
Sure.
another side. So I'm very
and,
cautious.
and I'm
'Cause
cautious. Like,
I'm just not.
even with the green energy, how much is your carbon footprint really destroying the earth? Do you know? Do I know? Does anyone really know? No. You got scientists that make claims, but you know what? We had doctors that made claims. We had other doctors that made different claims.
Mm-hmm.
Who's right? And right now you got scientists that there's no consensus on global warming that I could find. You have groups of scientists that are
Right.
100% sound that this is what it is, and you have other scientists that said whatever.
Right.
What I do know that I've learned, and I don't know, I wasn't here when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, but some of the hottest days on earth was when humans weren't even on the planet yet.
Hmm.
I don't know. Climate's always changed. It's
Right.
always changed in my lifetime. I don't know that.
And I'm
I
not
think-
naive to that fact either. And
Right.
I'm sure there's certain groups that are using that, right,
Sure.
to justify.
Well,
to
they all
promote-
say ocean levels are rising,
to
right? In
promote-
10 years,
Right.
the beaches are going to be gone, but you watch all these politicians buy beachfront property. Why are they moving to a place that's about ready to get destroyed in the next 5 years if you have a gasoline powered vehicle?
Because the insurance company will
Mhm.
cover it even if it
Right.
floods. I don't know.
Because it's not going to happen. That's why they're flying
Well,
around
I
in their
wouldn't say-
private planes.
I wouldn't say not. I mean, no crystal ball.
I don't believe that in 5 years,
Yeah.
Florida's going to be underwater.
Yeah.
If things stayed exactly
Yeah,
the way
you
they
would
are
think
right
people
now.
would be making plans to move if
Pretty
that was
much.
imminent.
They'd be
imminent.
evacuating that place, Insurance companies wouldn't even give you a policy.
Yeah.
They'd know that your house is going to get destroyed and they're going to have to pay for it in 3 years.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of scamming about this. I just be honest about it. Put the facts out there. People are smart, a lot of people are smart. They'll make the right choice.
And maybe they feel like if they don't push a little bit, we'll never make the leap. Maybe they feel there's certain groups that have such a hold on certain industries that,
Right.
And how do we know that the people out there that aren't anti-green aren't being paid by
Right.
another organization because they don't want their industry to fail because
Right.
they have so much invested into it, and it's hard for this new. I don't know.
I mean, the idea of having an electric truck that still has the horsepower to pull your boat and your camper and, bales of hay and the side by side out to go play on the weekend, like, it's appealing, like, I'm not against
I'm
it.
tired of doing oil changes.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
tired, antifreeze and oil
Sure.
and transmission fluid and gas
Right.
and
Yeah.
differential fluid and transfer case
Yeah.
fluid and
It sucks.
power steering fluid and I don't know. I don't know. They have
Right.
to have some. I don't know what they have.
But,
But
so yeah, the idea of, having,
so to be able just to plug it in at night and unplug it in the morning and be able to drive
but I think you got to be
2
fair.
or 3 days to work and come home and plug it in and never
What
have to-
happens when there's a power outage and you can't charge your shit? Or the one assessment I heard I really liked. Everyone down in Florida. And they're on the highway trying to evacuate because there's a hurricane coming and they're in a dead traffic jam. And you sit there for a whole day, your vehicle barely moving. What happens when all these vehicles on the highway, the charge is gone?
Well, I don't know if
What
they'd
are
be
they-
using much just sitting there. Unlike a gas vehicle, they run out of gas all the time in those.
Yeah, but you could show up with a
evacuation-
gallon of gas and get you down
Yeah.
the road. What are you gonna do when your battery's dead? I guess they could have like a mobile charging vehicle that, you know, they have tow trucks, right?
But I'm
So-
assuming if an
yeah.
electric car is just sitting there, it's not really using anything. Unlike a car idling,
If
it's
it's-
still using gas.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it depends on if you're in Florida, you're using the air conditioning and the radio and yeah. You
I
know,
don't know. I don't see in 5 years
if it's
everybody
raining
driving.
and you
I
got the wipers going and you're creeping along for hours just
don't-
creeping. Yeah, I'd see where you'd use
maybe,
energy.
yeah. I don't know. Again,
These headlights on.
I don't know.
You know.
I'm not an
Yeah.
expert. I'm just.
You're just questioning. I'm
Spitballing
not an
ideas
expert
here.
either, man. Like it's
I-
just
But again, like,
the way I see things, like questions that I have.
how often
like,
does that happen though?
hurricanes in Florida?
In those situations
I
where
don't know. I've seen a lot of traffic jams through my life. People
Yeah.
trying to evacuate 5, 6 different times.
But again,
I've
are we
seen
going
it.
to the extremes to say, well,
Well,
this
I'm
can't
saying
work
that's- no,
because
no.
every 8 years
I'm
it's
not
a hurricane?
saying it can't
and-
work. I'm saying,
But,
but
I'm saying,
when you
just
take,
think about what I'm saying here, though. You use an extreme situation of every 8 years it could be a hurricane to where people might be on the highway and their electric car might run out of gas.
right.
What about the other 99.9999% of the time when we're
Because
just driving
I
to
was
work?
talking about the hurricane plus the strain on our power grid that's really weak and kind of unreliable, to be honest.
Well,
with you.
what-
Because I'll tell you the story. I lived 7 years off grid, fine, and I plugged back in, bought a house on grid, and I closed it that day, moved in the next day, and had a power outage for 4 days. Thought, really? I go on the grid and I have no power. Now I was smart and I had a generator backup, living the life that I did. I've learned, you know, and so I still generated power, and I had a lot of gas cans that were full, you know, because I was prepared for it. But again, you know, put all that strain on our power grid. So it's not just the hurricane. It's the hurricane, the traffic, the power stations. Where's all the charging stations? You
So
know, you
won't
have
this-
to build those. So I just want a fair, honest assessment.
I assume there's people working on these
Yeah.
topic. I can't believe that. I can't believe they're going into this going electric cars,
Right. Depends on how much.
and
you
then
know,
there's no
money's
charging
getting-
station. The infrastructure is that
Yeah.
weak that it can't support it, and now nobody can charge their electric car.
Right.
And
And I'm not even getting into like the weird prepper stuff. Like
I
you
don't-
have an electric car and now there's an EMP.
I
You
don't.
know?
I just don't see it growing that big. That those cars are 60, 70,000
Mhm.
a piece.
Right.
So
I don't have 60 grand to go buy one. And you know
So-
that's the car. I bet the truck's even more.
right. So how much of an issue is this even going to be anytime soon?
I don't know. Realistically, I don't think they can push it through the way they're trying. But then again, I mean, they don't seem to mind about breaking things and just leaving people screwed. You know?
Maybe.
They shut the whole country. The whole world got shut down. They put businesses out of operation. Like, you know,
Well, again, managing this whole thing at scale, though, right? Like, none of us knew.
No.
I wore a mask and gloves.
Sure.
And wiped my
I was
groceries
very
down,
cautious in the
and-
beginning.
Right?
Yep.
We didn't know. So it's
Yep, I wiped everything down
Right.
before it came in
So-
the house, did the Lysol, you know, sure.
it's really easy to point fingers, 3 years later.
Yeah, hindsight,
Yeah.
sure.
Hopefully they learn lessons from this going forward about what to do, because I wouldn't have wanted to manage that shit show like that.
No,
That
but I think a lot of that was taken advantage of too. you know,
possibly, I'm sure. Like you said, no, don't let a good crisis go to waste.
right.
But
So
Well,
would they be willing to, I don't know, take a lot of money for green energy and then push it through knowing that they're going to screw a lot of people and leave them on the side of the road? Sure. I could see them doing that.
they wouldn't. They, how many times do you get elected doing something like that though?
You know what?
You
A
know,
lot, because they've been doing that, and I think people just blindly just vote party, right?
Sure.
Like,
Well,
how many times have we
percentage.
heard people complain about Mitch McConnell? But I mean, look at these politicians. What was it? Nancy Pelosi's 85 or some ridiculous shit like that.
Yeah.
She should have been voted out 20 years ago. Look at the people that run California and how bad that place is. Like, there's a mass exodus of people leaving. It's so terrible there, but yet they still vote the same people in because it's just, I don't know, familiarity, laziness. I don't know. Just go in there and Democrat, Republican.
That's
You know
another
what I
thing.
mean? Like,
And that's another thing why I'm cautious. I remember some very prominent political commentators years ago, and I'm talking
yeah,
10 years ago, telling me California's broke, they're bankrupt. Watch, California, New York,
Yeah.
these liberal states are all broke. They're going bankrupt. Then I hear the other day, California has like a $20 billion surplus.
right. Yeah.
They must not care about the people leaving, because there's somebody
Right.
there still propping it up, right?
What was it? Was it New York? I think it was New York where they said, if you don't agree with our politics, leave.
I saw
It's
that
like,
headline.
yeah,
I didn't
like,
read the
what,
story.
you want a third of the people to leave your state? I mean, that's still a lot of tax revenue you're losing, and I would agree with the cities that are run by real hard liberal people seem to not do so well. They seem to have a lot of poverty, a lot of crime.
They have a lot of prosperity too, though. If you
you
want to
know,
go to
sure.
a good restaurant, where do you go in New York, right?
Yeah.
If you want the finest shopping, where do you go?
Sure.
LA, right?
Chicago's got some beautiful buildings,
Yeah.
So got a high probability of getting shot there. So I don't know. And granted, look, if you look at like rural areas, they're always gonna have like lower crime rates because there's a lot less people there. So you do got to take that into account. Like, these
100%.
cities.
There's
have
a reason I
way
don't let
more
my
people.
wife run by herself a certain direction out here.
Right.
Right? So it's not just limited to inner city.
No, it's not.
And
I hear
there's
people
some
make
areas,
that claim.
there's some areas over by where you live that were
Right.
sketch AF.
Oh yeah.
And that's just what separated us from where you live.
Yeah.
7 miles, 8
Yeah.
miles as a crow flies.
Right. Yeah, 7 miles.
There are some places you drove by and you went, click.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Lock the doors.
Yeah.
Make sure the windows are up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I and there are people that absolutely make that claim, like, life's wonderful in the woods, but you get in the city, it's terrible. It's like, no, it happens everywhere. Bad people live all over the place. And there's a lot more people in the city. So obviously you do got to take that into account. But it does seem like,
typically, you're right. Overall, having a choice, yes.
How many mayors in Detroit got fired for corruption, one after another after another? I mean, what, they go through 3 or 4 of them, I think, that.
Yeah, and then who pardoned one of them?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Again, let's all go play golf together at the end of the day,
I never understood that, like, I don't know, we can get into politics another time more.
Yeah, that'll be a whole another 2 hours.
Not that we haven't been in politics, but
we could dig a lot deeper, for sure.
Yeah, with that whole shit show.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, like you said, we'll go have drinks together after we stay here and point fingers and yell at each other and grill each other, and then we'll.
Once the camera.
And I don't even know how true that is. I've never spoken to a politician to ask, been in that environment.
It's very true. Yeah. Could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not an expert in anything.
No.
This is just me giving my opinion. That's all it is. Just opinion. Things I've seen in my life growing up, and hopefully becoming wiser as I get older, and just the evolution of my thought process,
which is
that's a good thing,
yeah, which is definitely a good thing,
I've pulled back on a lot. I was very tribal. I was tribal both ways, man. When I was young, oh Lord, you diehard Democrat, man, for the people,
Yeah.
those guys are all about big business. And then, then I swung the other way, and then I was in the middle, then I was independent, then I was libertarian. God, I don't even know what I am right now. I have a little bit of everything.
I don't identify as anything.
Right.
I don't put a label on any.
I think every one of them parties have some things that are good and
I don't even like saying, well, this party has this idea.
Right.
I just don't even have the association. You and I sit here and talk, and I just spew my ideas, and makes me stop and think. And even after this, for the next day or two, I'll think about things I said, like, and digest them, and
right.
Like, how do I feel about that? What he said about this, how do
I'm all about like personal responsibility and smaller government, but I am for some government. The legalization of drugs. Come on, man, the war on drugs has never worked. Like, all these guys that's sitting in prison.
You want to talk about a fucking
for
scam
pot.
and a waste of fucking money?
God.
People want to bitch about taxpayer funds
all these
being
people
wasted.
that are in jail because they had a quarter ounce of weed. Let them out, man. Really? This is ridiculous.
And what sucks is these people paid their time for another crime. They got out. They've been good.
Right.
And then they tack on extra time to this simple weed charge because they had prior conviction or it's a violation of their probation or parole or for weed.
It's ridiculous. It's scandalous. It was a scam. Let them out. Wipe those charges, man. And then some of these people are forced to give up some of their constitutional rights because of this. And I'm like, I'm not so about that. Like,
no.
No,
you did your time. You should be able to get your voting rights back, your gun rights back. If you served your time, or you went to an appeal board and you got your conviction overturned, whatever.
That's life, man. Give them the rights
I'm not a
back.
lawyer, so I don't understand how it all works. But what I'm saying is, if you did your time, you get your rights back.
Absolutely.
Not for the rest of your life. You can't own a gun to protect yourself
That's
or your
ridiculous.
family, or you can never vote again because
I hate that. That is
you're
so
out,
wrong.
You're out.
You paid your debt. Now, go back to life.
Just frustrates the shit out of me.
I hate that.
But hey, you can get a DUI and go to jail and get out and get your driving rights back. And everything's fine,
Sure.
Because alcohol's legal. And how many families is alcohol destroyed? And
if I had to guess, I'd say a lot more than marijuana ever did.
Drives me nuts.
It's a scam. Like, I hate it. So
again, when we talk about there's some things I will not budge on, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Illegal drugs. Drives me nuts.
They illegalized alcohol. It didn't work.
No, what did it do? It gave rise to
the mafia, you know? So
good job.
Yeah. Way to go. Chicago's wonderful now. Thank you, New York.
Well, I guess my dog ended up with a cool name on it. Right? Capone.
Yeah, Capone. Yeah, you got a cool
we would have
name.
never known, right?
No, we'd have never known who Capone was without that. So, and we got good movies out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I like
Goodfellas. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work. They've proven it doesn't work. Like, they gotta stop. Let these people out of jail. Clear their record. Give them their rights back. I could see if you're an axe murderer, and they got you on video chopping someone up. Like,
well, you should never get out of prison, right?
You should never be free again,
right? That's different than drug charges,
right?
Simple drug charges, or
you got pulled over because you didn't use your blinker and you had a quarter ounce. Or God, some of these people had like a joint or paraphernalia in their vehicle, and 3 strikes, you're out. It's terrible.
Since when did quantity equal time? I don't even understand that. Like,
intent to distribute or sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
Right. Who cares? I think there are some things I can
go to the farmer's market and buy all the corn I want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we know what I've done with corn, right? So, little corn, little sugar, little yeast. Ooh boy.
It doesn't make sense.
No,
It just
it
doesn't compute
just
in my brain.
it's a scam, you know. So there are some issues I am like super liberal on, and I won't budge.
I'm glad we live in a state where it's legal. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Um, there's other things I'm
I
very
voted to
conservative on
legalize it for medicinal, and I voted to
yeah.
legalize it
For
recreationally.
recreation.
You know?
Absolutely. You know, you're in your own home, do your own thing. I
Yeah.
don't care. You know,
Right.
if you can sit in the backyard and drink a beer, you should be able to sit in the backyard and toke.
Yeah.
Like it does not affect my life at all. So leave people alone. Again, then I get very libertarian. Like you know,
Yeah.
mm-hmm, stay out of my business.
Right.
If I'm not bothering anyone, don't bother me.
Right. Exactly. 100%. You know. And it comes down to personal responsibility.
Right.
Are people going to abuse it? Well, they've
Sure.
abused alcohol and they abuse spray paint and
There's
whatever
puffers,
else.
there's anything,
Yeah.
you know.
You
And
know,
wasn't there a little time where everyone was like butt chugging Robitussin or something?
I don't know.
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember
Who
that.
wants to
and
stand on their head
I
and, you
remember
know?
in school people
Yeah.
drinking Robitussin to get drunk kids.
Right.
You know,
They're gonna find a way, you know.
it's kind of weaved into our DNA for
Right.
some reason, right?
And all they've done is legalize shit and then make drugs get more powerful, more deadly.
Yeah.
You know, look at the fentanyl. That's.
Yeah.
I was just reading yesterday about the rainbow colored. Looks like
Yeah.
candy. Scary.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know?
heard that too.
God,
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures of it. Just you know, obviously I got kids. I want to
Yeah.
know what this shit looks like.
No
and,
doubt.
wow, scary.
No doubt.
You know, some of it looks like chalk. You know that. You know,
Really?
I have a young one that plays with chalk all the time.
The
and-
guy that looks like chalk.
yeah,
I
it
didn't
looks like
see that.
sidewalk
No
chalk.
shit.
You know. Yep. Scary. Like you wouldn't
Yeah,
even
dude.
know. Some of it looked like candy. You know, little different rainbow colored candies. Like kid would have that in school and
I
no one
heard
would
the
even
candy, but I didn't
Mhm.
hear about the chalk.
know. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, when we're done podcasting, we'll look some of that up.
Yeah.
We'll look up some images. It is, and that's exactly what it looks like. You know, just a chunk of sidewalk chalk that my young one plays with all the time. It's just, yeah, man, you're not making anything better.
No.
You know.
No. I'm just gonna completely shift topics here.
Go ahead.
But I started shooting with bow with the caliper release the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you like that?
I learned a lot from the hinge.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what I was doing wrong with the wrist strap. Well, what got me thinking about it was I've been watching a couple of YouTubers, and they said like, it's not necessarily in your best interest to hunt with a hinge,
Right.
because if you got to get a shot off, when you dump a hinge, it's not pretty. Like, and I've done tests where like, you know, I draw, you know, and then I just slowly rotate through and get that
Right.
nice clean break, nice surprise shot, you know, and
Yeah.
it hits right where I want. Then I've drawn back and dumped it.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes they'll hit like a foot right.
Right.
Like,
so you're pulling the shot.
right.
And,
And they said it's a lot more forgiving, like with either whether you use a thumb
Yeah.
or, you know, a wrist strap. You know, if you got to get the shot off and you punch
Yeah.
it, it's a lot more forgiving. So I've been
Sure.
doing some tests. But what I learned is, man, now when I use that wrist strap,
Yeah.
man, it's just like, I still get I never had that surprise before
Really?
with that
And now
wrist
you
strap.
do.
Now I get that. Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing they said is make sure you set the trigger heavy. You
Right.
don't want a hair trigger
No.
on
Mine's
there. It
heavy.
makes you too jumpy.
Yeah.
So I made the trigger all the way heavy. Now I can actually feel some creep.
Yeah.
You know, gives me a second to kind of settle and creep.
Just settle into it.
Then I
Yep.
get a nice surprise break. My arrows were touching.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, So I definitely learned a lot through that journey with the using that hinge, and I can definitely see the benefits of, you know, because everything's, you know, nice and steady, just
Yeah.
but you don't know when it's gonna go.
Right.
You know, so you got to learn good form. You know,
Yeah.
drop that shoulder, you know, and pushing that bow away,
Right.
you know, and get that nice clean surprise break. So I definitely saw the benefit there. I think I might hunt with, I ordered a new wrist strap because I've had that
Yeah.
wrist strap. If I had to guess, I probably bought it like in 09, 08.
Wow. Yeah.
So I've had that thing for a long time.
Yeah, I've had mine forever too.
So I bought one, and it's got a dial on it, so you can dial it right
Really?
tight to your
Nice,
wrist.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And the trigger setup, the way the trigger breaks, it's supposed to be a lot cleaner. Because mine has a groove. If you could see the inside of the jaws, it
Yeah.
has a groove that a little bearing sits in,
Right.
and it just rolls off that groove, and
Yeah.
it opens them up. And these are supposed to be more like a rifle
Yeah.
trigger, you know, supposed to have a lot cleaner break
Yep.
on these newer ones, you know. So I ordered a new one. It had some different technology, like the adjustability for length, so you can
Yeah.
kind of customize it, and it can lock out of the way, so you put your hands in your
Really?
pocket.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you
kinda
can
nice.
lock it 90
Yeah.
degrees either way, so you can put your hand in your
Yeah,
pocket.
because that's
and
always
it's
a
not-
problem with it once it's strapped on is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some new technology there
Right.
that I thought, well,
because a lot of times I wouldn't wear a glove on that hand, or I'd wear a very thin glove
yeah,
on that hand.
yeah.
So you can feel your trigger better, but then your hand gets cold. You want to stick it in your pocket, because you got a thinner
Right, and
glove
that
on,
thing's
so,
catching on the
yeah,
edge,
it's
and you're trying to
making all
shove
the
your hand in
noise,
there. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty
Wow.
interesting. So yeah, I bought that.
I'll have to look at this and
Yeah. So
I'm
I'm gonna
curious.
give that a
I
try.
might have to get me a new release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
We'll see how it
you know?
goes. If I don't
Yeah.
like it, I can always return it.
Right.
You got some time to test it out. But I was
Yeah.
really shocked at how tight my groups were compared to before when I
Right.
shot the wrist strap. So I definitely,
Hmm.
I definitely tightened up my form, and learned a lot about not only my shooting grip but my bow grip
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty exciting.
All right.
Yeah, I think I've shot that for 3 days now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. About like, well, what if? And I'm not talking about taking questionable shots, but
Right.
you've had bucks running does around you before, and sometimes like they stop, and it's like
That's it.
you don't know when they're gonna bolt again. You
Right.
got to get that
You
shot
have
off
that-
right now.
that right then. Yeah.
And you might not have that time to sit there and pull,
Yeah.
pull. He
Right.
might all of a sudden lunge forward right when that
Oh,
breaks.
yeah.
Sometimes you got to be able just to. And a
Yeah.
couple of those very prominent archers brought that up.
It's a good point.
Use that hinge through the summer,
Yeah.
to keep that form good and have that surprise shot.
But
So
then
you're
when
never
hunt,
anticipating it.
switch over.
Yeah, either use a thumb or
Yeah. I like the index finger.
I'm like,
I'm a
dang.
trigger finger guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
something
I used
learned.
to shoot the thumb.
Yeah, I remember you telling
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
custom one you had.
Yeah, I got a custom one. I'll have to dig that out and show you. It's really neat.
And I was looking at some
Really
different
good.
thumbs, and I might end up buying one of those too, just because
Yeah.
I shoot that hinge in that
And it is
form.
kind of the same form.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But man, it almost felt good to shoot that wrist strap again. Like I
Yeah.
drew back and I was like, oh wow, like
Yeah.
this.
Huh.
Probably because I've shot one my whole life. From the
Right.
time I was, I think I got my first. Release when I was probably 13,
Wow.
14, around
Yeah.
there. So that's it's a long time ago.
Yeah. Right.
So I've been shooting that style of release the majority of my life. So
Yeah.
it felt very
Right back into the
comfortable.
comfort
Yeah,
zone
it
with
felt
it, huh?
very comfortable. When I came to that back wall on the bow, it was like
Yeah.
just solid. Everything felt like I was like, oh wow, this is different. Because I haven't shot it since I got that new
Right.
bow. Because I went right to that hinge
Yeah.
when I bought it. So yeah, that was cool. I still didn't look at the food plot. I'm
No.
waiting for next weekend. Yeah, I'm holding to it. I'm going 2
Right.
weeks. I'll put the cell cam out
There you
next
go.
weekend too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still
Yeah,
haven't,
it's time.
still haven't seen anything but the does and the fawns just running around.
Yeah.
Yesterday morning.
They'll start sneaking through.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know.
Yeah, I'm staying optimistic. I know how it goes. I usually don't even see my first buck till end of August
Yeah.
around here anyways, so
Right.
I'm not surprised
But
by
those cool mornings we're getting now, boy,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's giving me the fever. I'll tell you, like, I went out and sat out there, and oh man, it's coming. It's soon now.
I know. We went on the porch and had coffee this morning. I put a hoodie on, had the hood up.
Yep.
I was
Perfect.
like, man, this is nice.
This is heavenly right there.
If it wasn't so breezy, I would have had a little campfire
Yeah.
in the fire pit there.
Right.
It was a little breezy this morning,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, I like those chilly mornings.
Yeah, so do I.
They just put me in the mood.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
makes you want to get out in the woods for sure.
100%. I ordered a new Cabela's hoodie. Did you see the one Curly's wearing?
Mm-hmm.
With that, I don't even know what you call that camo. It said the name on there.
Yeah.
But I got a hoodie and a hat. I figured I'd wear the
Sick.
hoodie over my scent lock
Yeah.
jacket,
Right.
you know,
There you
just
go.
because I don't have a hood, and sometimes, you know, I'll wear like face mask or whatever. I thought,
Right.
man, it'd be kind of nice just to throw that hood up in the morning,
Right.
put my hands in that front pocket.
It does make a
you know?
difference, you know. I'll throw my hood up once in a while. It makes it harder to hear.
Yeah,
So
but so does it, because I have a scent lock
Right.
face mask, so it
and
doesn't
that-
have the ear cuts in it.
Right.
So when you
Yep.
throw that up,
That's
like
how mine is.
I have
too.
to like
It's-
pull it back and put
Yeah.
it behind my ear,
Right.
because with that thing on, like I
can't
can't
hear
hear a
nothing
damn
either.
thing.
Yeah, that's always the problem with it. I have the same issue.
So what I figure I end up doing is just running the scent lock over my nose and my mouth and just
Yeah.
pull the cord tight
Right.
and then just flip
And
that
then
hood
throw
up.
the hood up. Just,
Not cinch it, but
Right.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it might be too difficult to hear. I don't know, but I've never used a hoodie or a
Yeah.
hood for hunting. But
Yeah,
man,
sometimes, man, you get that breeze on the back of
Yeah.
your neck. You know, it's
Yeah.
just ugh,
and what'll
throw that
happen is
hood up.
I'm trying to tuck
Yeah.
my face mask,
down
down
inside it. Yeah.
but then you turn your head,
and it makes all that noise,
well,
and it starts popping out.
yeah, it comes out, and
Yeah.
then
Strips
then-
your mask all crooked.
yeah, and then I'm trying
it's
to
just
tuck it back in.
uncomfortable.
So I thought, well, maybe I kind of like that camel pattern. It was
Yeah.
unique, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, I found that in a matching
think,
hat.
the two suits I got now that I've been using pretty heavy was the scent blocker suit for early season, and then I have a nomad suit that I wear when it really gets cold, and that's scent reduction
Is it?
technology too. And yeah, and it's a really cool camo. I have to show you that.
Yeah.
It's got a neat camo pattern. It's really comfortable. Most importantly, it's quiet.
Is it?
Yeah, you can move around and then it doesn't make a bunch of noise. That is one thing that is just I hate. You're sitting out there and you move your
Oh.
arm and it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh, it's terrible. It
Yeah.
makes you not want to move. You're not confident, you know,
Yeah.
and being able to move and get a full draw on a buck that's standing 15 yards away. You're not going to shoot real well.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be
Yeah,
confident.
because you
and all
got that in your head, like, oh
Yeah.
god, oh god.
As soon as I move, he's gonna bolt. You know, he's gonna hear my jacket, and so yeah, it's really quiet. I've had it for a couple of years now. I'm really happy with that suit. Very happy with it.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty jazzed. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really hoping that food plot takes
Yeah.
off this year because I took those extra steps with it.
Right. Should.
And I'm so hoping
It'll be
Wanna-
fun. It'll be an interesting
I wanna
year.
fill that freezer.
Yep.
I'm ready for some venison hamburgers on the
Oh
grill.
yeah, they are the
Gosh,
best.
dang.
Yep.
And she likes the steaks. You know
Right.
me, I'm not a big steak fan. I'll grind the
Yeah.
whole damn deer into burger. I
Right.
don't care. I did last
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Back strap,
I like
neck.
taking those steaks
shoulders.
though, man. And
I know people do, and I-
cut them
and
up in bite-sized
that's-
little pieces, and then I
and
bread 'em
I
and fry
I
'em
get
and-
it. And I get
oh,
it.
it's so good.
People think it was sacrilegious. I ground the back straps too in the
Oh,
burger.
God,
I grind
yeah.
that whole
No,
damn thing.
there's so many different ways to eat that.
I do like, if there's one cut I do like, and it was really in hindsight because I told the butcher just to. I do like back straps. I like
Right.
cutting them up because I tell them when you take them out,
Yeah.
leave them in 2 whole pieces, but cut them in half
Yep.
and package each half separately. Because 1/2 is enough for dinner.
Right.
You know, and then I'll take that and cut it into about 1-inch pieces.
Yeah.
Wrap a couple pieces of bacon around
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Dip it in the marinade
Oh,
in
yeah.
the bag.
Yep.
Leave it in there for a little while, and then throw them on the grill,
Ooh.
just to where there's just
Now
a
you're
hint
making
of
me
pink
hungry.
in the center.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
There's so many different ways to just.
That's
It's so good.
Outside of that-
can't wait.
hamburgers on the grill.
Yeah.
You know,
and
we
you know,
started-
I love the burger. You know, especially mix a
You-
little bacon in there, like we did. Like, oh
Yeah.
man.
Well, that's what I was
good.
gonna say. We didn't do it last year. Year before, we bought just shredded cheddar.
Yeah.
And then we just bought the real bacon bits.
Right. Yep.
Put all the burger in a big bowl.
Mix
Dump
it all
it,
in
mix it
there.
all up, and
Yeah.
then make the patties and
Oh,
grill them with
nice.
those bacon
Yeah.
bits and
And the
that
cheese
shredded
in there.
cheddar
Yeah.
cheese in there. Oh,
Oh.
son. Son. Dude, that's
Sounds
I
fantastic.
feel so fortunate. Like, I wish, I know people struggle with the taking of animals,
Right.
but it is so pure and so
Oh.
clean.
Sure is.
And that animal, I'm going to tell you right now, because I struggled for a while, and I told you this with killing animals.
Mhm.
And I actually had a man of religion, a really, really good dude, really just solid dude, tell me. I was talking to him about it, and he said, look, he said, the death you deal that animal is the most humane death that animal will ever die. And I'm like,
Right.
what? He's like, you know, whether we're hunting raccoon or he said, how
Yeah.
else is that animal gonna die?
Disease, starvation, hit
Hit
by
by
a
a
car,
Right.
you know.
Other animal. He
Yeah,
said, do you
other
think? He
animals.
said, if another animal takes that deer down, he said, what kind of death? He
Yeah.
said, do you think it?
The
If it hurries up and
coyotes-
tries to make a quick humane
No,
death,
the
kill
coyotes
on it,
eat it from the rear end
Right.
up while
they'll
it's
pull
alive.
it down, pull
Yeah.
it down, pull it down. And he said, so as a hunter, you know, obviously you have to do your part, which is
Right.
why I practice.
Oh,
And
sure.
our friend
Mm-hmm.
would bust my balls all the time about,
Yeah.
oh, you won't shoot a deer unless it's standing in concrete. And you're damn right.
Right.
You know what? And I've never wounded a deer either.
Exactly.
Because I feel that compassion about that life that if I'm going to attempt to take it, I'm going to make the most ethical, humane
Yep.
kill I can possibly do. And if it's walking or it's too erratic or it's too alert, it's just not worth it to me.
Right. I'll
See ya.
wait. It'll come back.
Or something else will
You know,
come
or
in. Like,
something else will-
yeah, it sucks. It sucked before.
I
Like,
have passed far more deer than I've ever shot.
I had a beautiful 8-point. Curly didn't want to go bow hunting with me. And I took the crossbow
Yeah.
up in the ladder stand. I was up there. I shit you not. I was up there 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Quarter after 4, this 8-point comes centipeding down through the woods.
Yeah.
Hits the ATV trail to the north of the food plot. And I'm on the crossbow. And it was my own fault. I thought, for whatever reason, I thought that trail was 40 yards
Yeah.
to the trail. I knew what it was to the edge of the food plot, and I thought the
Right.
trail was 40. And the wind was coming out of the southwest.
Oh.
I shit you not. He's heading right that way, and I'm like, damn it. You know, I didn't want to pull the trigger. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I think it's too far. I'm thinking maybe he's gonna cut in and
Right.
cut the corner of the food plot, which I knew was 30 yards, right to
Yeah.
the corner. I thought he was gonna. I didn't think he'd stay on that ATV trail.
Right.
I thought he'd come in, cut that corner, 30 yards. I'll poke him then.
Yep.
He hit my scent.
Yeah.
The wind was coming around southwest. He hit my scent. He
Gone.
spun around, looked right up at me, and
Yeah. Go.
right back the way he came from. Never seen him again.
They're smart.
So next day, I
Lot of
took
instinct.
the rangefinder out there.
Yeah.
It was 34 yards where we were standing.
Oh, ouch. Yeah.
I could have
Within
Hail Married it. I mean,
within the
regardless, but I'm like,
wheelhouse.
I'm not gonna try it. I'm like,
Right.
there's just for one, he didn't stop. But
Yeah.
even when he spun around and looked at me,
Yeah.
I could have poked if I would have known.
Right.
But I wasn't gonna take the chance at 40 yards.
No.
Cause you know how the
I don't,
crossbows
right.
are. They're loud and
Yep. And everyone thinks they're a gun and they're not. They're still a bow, man. They still.
yeah.
I swear that when crossbows became popular in this state, at least for the first handful of years, we had way more deer lost than
Yeah.
wounded. I heard so many stories of people losing their deer,
Yeah.
and I thought, why?
'Cause
You
they
know,
duck.
and I thought because they're taking shots they shouldn't be
Yeah.
because they think it's a gun.
Yeah, they
It's
think
like
they
a
can shoot.
rifle, and yeah.
And you know what? Maybe the ones today, ours
And we've
is a little
debated.
older.
We've debated that with our friend. I've debated
Yeah.
that with our friend more than once because, you know, he'll do those shots way out there. And you know, the year before last, I was shooting one at 100 yards.
Yeah.
You could do it accurate.
Yeah.
You know, but I'd never try to shoot a game from that far with it. No, I think I'm more like you. I'll wait. You know, I'm there to enjoy all of it.
Yeah.
Not, you know, and one, I don't enjoy killing anything.
No.
But I do appreciate the opportunity
Yeah.
to take game and, bring meat home and feed the family.
Yeah, there's a moment where I walk up to him, and I put my hands on him.
Yep,
I'm like,
and just be thankful.
it's heavy, man.
Yeah.
He just took a life. That's heavy.
That thing 2 minutes ago was alive,
Yeah.
licking its nose and sniffing the air and eating acorns, and now it's gone,
Yeah.
and
I took
did
something
it.
else alive. That's heavy for a couple moments. And then it's like,
then it's
when I'm carrying that meat home from the
then it's
processor, though,
thankful and
man.
you start loading the freezer up and it's like, thank you.
Yeah, I thank God every time.
Yep.
Thank you for the experience. Thank you for the meat,
I love being out there watching the sun start to come up, the woods come alive, watching all the different animals. So to me, it's okay to pass a deer. Another one will come through. I am pretty patient with it.
It is what it is.
I would rather wait for my shot.
Yeah.
Every time I forced a shot, it went bad.
Yeah.
And I learned young, don't force it. Just wait.
Yeah.
I
can't wait, man. I'm out of venison. I'm ready to
Yeah.
fill the damn fridge.
Yeah. This is always the hard time. Everyone's kind of out of venison at this point, and itching to start filling that freezer back up. I can't wait. I'm gonna swap my tree stand out, and the next week probably tear the big 2-man down. I'm gonna put a single up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you can see it from the road, and there's some questionable people kind of around that area that know that it's just. I don't want to show up and have it gone. You know what I mean? So,
well, not only that, but it's a smaller profile for you
and
too.
And the deer don't see it near that. That thing I got up there right now is big enough you could play soccer in it. So
is that the one I shot my deer out of?
No, but it's this big.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a newer one. This one has bucket seats in it.
What happened to that one?
I left that one when I sold the farm. Yep.
No kidding.
The guy taught me into leaving. I left 11 tree stands out there for him.
Oh. Did it still have that cover thing?
Yeah, I still got the roof. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a new one. I left the roof for that one there. So yeah, I still use the umbrella, or these ones are the square ones, more like a roof. It's a little heavier duty than the little umbrella ones. I don't like those ones as much. I mean, they have a lower profile, but the
umbrella,
they don't last as
every
long.
one I've had has leaked.
Yeah,
I've ended up having to put a piece of clear plastic on top of it and safety pin it out on the edges.
Yeah,
everyone's leaked I've got.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I like.
Manufacturer sent me another one the last time I bought one, because they don't last forever.
No.
Even though I take them down because I don't want to put it up and take it down every time. So beginning of the season I'll put it up, and then I take it down before snow, because I had one up, I forgot about it, and the snow got crushed it. So I bought another one. Well, that one leaked.
Yeah.
And I put a plastic over it, and I bought another one. So I'm like, well, this time I'm going to contact manufacturer. They sent me another one.
Yeah.
But that one leaked.
Wow.
And I'm like,
the big square ones that I use, like I leave them up. I never.
Yeah,
care
those ones.
They're too big and cumbersome to tear up and down. And I think those ones I found at Menards. I want to say.
Really?
And I found them on sale. So I bought like 3 of them or 4 of them. I still got one more brand.
Menards sells like tree stands.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, they have a little hunting section.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I bought a couple tree stands from them, actually. What? Yeah, they'll have some pretty good buys in there sometimes.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never knew that. You gonna get a new bow?
Yeah.
I know you're talking about it, but
I think so. Yep.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think
that'd be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I'm itching to go back into.
I damn near have a whole 3D course out there.
I know. I was looking at it going, man, I want to just go and get the bow and come over and start shooting. Yeah, there's something just.
And now we can poke out to 100.
Yeah, I know.
Damn, dude. I was out shooting at 60 last night.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I love shooting.
Because I wanted to see what the accuracy, I wanted to see. Because, when you're at 20, you got that big target, you don't. I lose a lot of confidence as I get back. Like, the pin starts having the size of the target, and you're like, your mind starts getting into it, like, be careful, and so I wanted to see how much confidence I'd have. I was just lobbing them in there. I think they were like that at 60. Yeah, nice. with that wrist strap.
Yeah, so, I think so. I think in
I hope you do. I think it'd be good for you. I think it'd be good for your mind. I know it's helped me out a lot.
Oh, it's
because I didn't do it for so long. I told you, because of the trigger target panic.
Yeah. I think
It just got to be too much anxiety for
it's just
me.
something just spiritually good for your soul. Just
It
shooting,
is.
just shooting that, you know. Yeah,
I am
I love
freaking
it.
obsessed, man. I was working on that bow before you got here.
Were you? Yeah.
I am obsessed.
Yeah. It's a good obsession
I
to have, you know. Yeah, some
I was
guys.
tinkering with it last night. I made some adjustments and I was out of I didn't realize when we set up the sight on it,
Yeah.
I was out of windage adjustment to
Mm,
the right. And the bar it was just slid too far over. It's got micro windage adjustment on
Mhm.
it, so it's every click is like an eighth inch at
wow.
40 maybe, I don't, whatever it is. And I was out of left when I went from the hinge to the caliper.
Yeah.
My shots were impacting right,
Yeah.
so you follow the arrow, so I had to
Yeah.
move it further to the right while I was out of, I might have said that backwards, but I'm out of
Yeah.
right windage adjustment, whatever. So I got it up there last night and I got the clicker centered and then slid it over and
Right.
got it moved back, and then you got to
Wow.
re-level the scope
Yep.
so it matches. You put a level on the string to get the bow level.
Yeah.
Then you put a level on the face of the
Okay.
sight
Yep.
to make so that you're not looking at it
Right.
on an
And
angle.
it's cantered away.
Right, and because
yeah.
I moved it in and out,
Yeah.
it'll rotate. So I had to put the string level on and then level it too. Yeah, I was tinkering with that last night.
Nice.
I am freaking obsessed lately, man. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is since I got back into it. It's like,
I'm excited to get back into it. You know, and don't get me wrong, I love the crossbow. It's been a good tool, and you know, through a shoulder injury, it really helped me out. Kept me hunting. You know, but
yeah.
I miss archery. There's just something special about just shooting a bow. It's just
Yeah. I
it's
forgot.
good for your soul.
I shouldn't say I don't even know how to say it. Like, because I suffered from target panic and didn't even know what it was for so long.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it up. Just the anxiety of even
Right.
shooting anymore just became too overwhelming. So I
Yeah.
just didn't bow hunt. Didn't even shoot the bow. Just
Right.
and then it was actually through Curly
Mm-hmm.
because got her into bow hunting,
Yeah.
and then she realized she was locking low on the target. She said, "Why can't I lift my bow up?
Right.
Why does it get that far below the bullseye?"
It's just stiff, you know.
Right. So she started doing some research, and YouTube wasn't a thing then,
Right.
to be able to, oh, why am I having a hard time with this aspect of my
Yeah.
archery game, right? So she actually stumbled across it, and we start watching these videos and stuff, and then it's like, oh, that's what was wrong with me, right?
Right.
And oh, this is how you cure it. And I just think, what, I lost all that time.
Yeah.
All that time I lost.
Yeah, at least you figured it out though in your
I
back,
know,
you
but
know.
it sucks just thinking that was like
Yeah,
10 years
yeah, all
gone.
them years.
10 years of
That's
bow
funny
hunting.
because like the crossbow, everyone gets out. You shoot it a handful of times, make sure everything's right and it's working right. Then you put it away. It's like
It's a lot like the gun, right? Like
Yeah.
before rifle season, right?
Yeah.
We go out to the range,
Yeah.
pop off 3. It's the rifles are
Yeah.
never off. Knock on wood. I've
Yeah.
never had one of those deer rifles be off.
Only
I go
one
out there,
time.
shoot them 3 times maybe,
only one time have I had that happen.
and then they go back in the cabinet and they come out to hunt, and then after season they get
Right.
clean and they go
And
right back
they
in the
go back in the
cabinet, and
cabinet
then
again,
right
and
around
again.
Halloween, pull them out, go to the range, shoot
Crossbow's
them.
kind of the
Yeah,
same
same
way.
thing,
It's
yeah.
just no one sits out there and shoots their crossbow for an hour. You
No,
can
'cause
sit out there with your bow for 3 hours shooting it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And I
just-
do.
Yeah, there's just something special about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something very calming, very zen.
Yeah.
Like I imagine what yoga's like.
Yeah,
you know.
probably gives you the similar feeling. Just that place of zen.
Yeah. Speaking of yoga, I was thinking the other day, like, like meditation, like you're supposed to clear your mind and not have any thoughts. Just like
I struggle with it. I try, and I'm better.
But it's funny, last week when we sat down to do the podcast,
yeah,
I sat down here, hit start record, and I was like, no, it was like,
Yeah.
it was as black as space, man. It was just like,
gone. Not a thought.
oh, like, why can't I do this?
Yeah.
I try to meditate,
Right.
you know, it's amazing how, like,
The thing
but
I
then, like,
love about these videos too is like we really have no plan. We just
no,
sit down and just start
zero
talking.
plan.
Like, there's not some chart that, all right, here's all the bullet points. Not saying that through the week things happen and yeah, I want to talk about
Yeah,
that maybe.
definitely,
But
definitely.
like there's no plan. There's nothing scripted. This is as organic as
Yeah.
it can be. I had no idea last week when you hit record. I had no idea what we were going to talk about.
It was just funny how my mind just
Yeah.
went black, just
Yeah.
blank. Like, I'm like, why can't I achieve this state? Any
Right.
other time, it's like, my mind, it's like freaking,
Yeah.
if I just sat in a room with nothing on, it'd be like YouTube still playing. I'm trying to read a
Oh, yeah.
magazine while
Yeah.
juggling bowling balls and trying to shoot my bow.
Right.
It's just like,
Yeah.
it's nonstop.
Yep. I know that feeling.
But it's amazing. Like, on my way home from work, I have about a half-hour drive, and I don't even listen to the radio.
No, I don't really listen to the radio.
Crack the
much.
window a little bit,
Yep.
man. It's like, I'm not thinking about work though. That's what
Yeah.
my old job. I tell you what, like, I could never
You couldn't leave it.
leave it. It was like, for some reason, it's not that I was getting calls at home or there was just
Right.
whatever
You
it
just could
was
not
about that
disconnect
job.
from
I
it.
just could not.
Yeah.
It'd be my day off, and I'd wake up think I'm late for work.
Right.
It's just, it was always on my mind. This job, dude, when I'm gone, I'm just gone. Like, I don't.
Right.
Which is really good.
It
It's
is good.
really good. But that drive home, it's amazing. Like, because at my old job, when I drive home, all I was thinking about was what happened that day, and like,
Right.
it was just like, it just is real of the whole day playing in my head, and I just
Yeah,
could not.
regurgitating the whole thing.
Oh God, But anyway, now it's like, I'll think about a podcast I listened to and a point they talked about. Now, it gives me time to digest because I'm not
Mhm.
listening to it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because while you're listening to it, you're trying to digest it, but they keep, you're trying to
Right.
keep up
Yeah,
with the
you're keeping up with
conversation.
it
So
as it's progressing.
you don't always have a good chance to.
No, it's usually afterwards when I kind of regurgitate it all,
Yeah.
really think about it.
Now, what sucks is sometimes I'll start breaking down like something really good,
Mhm.
right? Then I'll realize it's been like 3 minutes and I didn't hear what they.
Yeah,
So
I've done that.
I have to
Yeah.
back it up,
Back
like,
it
oh, what
up
was the
and-
last thing I
yeah.
heard, so I can go back and.
Yeah, I've
Cause-
done that.
But that drive home, yeah, it's like, oh man, it's so nice.
Yeah,
It's just-
I like the drives.
I
Keep
just-
it quiet and just my mind just
Yeah.
goes, man. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of
I
like
am on a
gaze
whole
down the
nother
road and
plane.
at the sky, and just kind of like, yeah. And that,
yeah,
and that's the other thing, like about the road rage thing we've talked.
Yeah.
I know, ad nauseum, right? But that's helped. I'm just oblivious to it. I'll
Right.
notice them coming, or like that car,
Yeah.
that truck that decided to turn from my lane. Like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like damn. But it's helped me just completely, like just that drive of just not being annoyed with work or other things, and
Yeah.
my mind's just kind of clear, and I'm just thinking about how, things I heard and what I think about them,
Yeah.
and breaking that all down. And it's like people just flying by or whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely am not nearly in the hurry I used to be. I just, that, like I said, I'm driving. I'm on another whole plane. That's
We ain't
I
got
love
time to
that
get
time.
into it now, but a guy at work the other day, this was Friday, and he told me he hopes we end up in a civil war.
yeah. There's a lot of people that do.
And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm not even
man.
gonna it's too long to get into the whole thing.
Right.
We'll have to save this for next
Oh
week.
yeah, yeah. We can definitely get into the
I
Civil
was
War
like-
stuff.
I was like,
Wow.
and we're not going to get into it here, but we'll get into it
Yeah.
next week about how
You
mine
just-
and his conversation went. But wow,
Yeah, I look forward to hearing it.
yeah,
'Cause I think me and you are pretty much in agreement on all of that. There's a lot, and it's on both sides. I mean, I don't know that you can even change the trajectory now. Like it's just
I don't,
being
I don't-
pushed. People are excited. For it.
I don't think we're going to see anything different than we've seen over the last 2 years.
except I think we'll see more of it. You know what I mean? I think we'll see more of it, but
I still
probably
think
the
it's gonna
same,
be isolated
you know?
pockets
Yeah.
like we've seen over. I don't think it's gonna. Again, I don't want to get too
Right.
deep into it. It just came to my mind when I was talking about the
How many minutes are we at right now?
We're 2.5 hours.
Really? Wow, man. All right, yeah, we're definitely not gonna get into it then.
Yeah, we should probably
You
shut
know,
this down
yeah,
and go cook
we
some
can
food, man.
yeah, we'll close it on. We'll pick up the Civil War stuff next week.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a lot of people on both sides pushing that, like
Yeah.
looking forward to it. And I thought, man, I hope not.
No.
I pray
No, I
not.
absolutely
It'd be
100% hope to God people have enough common sense.
To avoid that and just walk away from it, because
Yeah.
no one's gonna win in that. You know.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Again, let's go. cook
Yeah,
some
we'll save it.
food.
Next week, guys. Next week, Civil
Thanks
War.
for watching, everybody.
Yep.
Hope
Hey, give us
everybody
a
got
thumbs up,
something
please.
Out of it. Leave a comment. Let us know
Yeah.
if there's something
Specific,
that
you know?
you want to hear about, or you agreed with or disagreed with. Leave us definitely a thumbs up. Give it a share, like, rating.
Help us out.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See ya.